414, what it do? What it do? I know I'm late. I know I'm late. I know I'm late. Please don't say, Kev, you late. Please don't say where you been. I'm here right now. It's Outlaw Radio on a Wednesday evening. Trigger words. Trigger words. Important. It's one of these shows where I got to get it off my chest. I have to get it off my chest. Welcome to the show. It's Outlaw Radio. It's a platform that is conceived, conceptualized, and designed with the interest of foundational Black Americans in mind. I just feel like it's pertinent that we have a platform in today's society that speaks our truth, right? We know that we live in a situation where for a very long time we collectively, myself included, have systematically allowed people to define us. And I'm a firm believer that those days are over. I don't think that this is the same variation of Negro that a lot of white people think it is. Matter of fact, I know it's not. So if you feel that same way, come on, participate with the show. The number's 262-202-5131. Say it again, 262-202-5131. Chat room popping. We're on YouTube. We are on the Outlaw Radio page, and we're on my government page. So Mondays and Wednesdays. And like I said, I know I'm late tonight. So this is where I need your assistance in letting people know that, okay, the show is on. The show is on. It's not canceled. Kev ain't tripping. Just late, right? So y'all come on in. Let's go. Let's get it cracking. It's a lot to talk about. I'm supposed to have Vince Tony here. I don't know if because I was late, he might think I'm like Kev on some bullshit. Vince was supposed to join us. Kamara will be along, the rest of the Outlaw family. And like I said, if you want to join in on the phone, let me put this up for y'all. I'm gonna get my phone number popping. 262-202-5131. 262-202-5131. It's Outlaw Radio, it's trigger words. And a lot of times what happens, so let me go to the chat room because Dion once again is earlier than everybody else. He says, wherever, well, I'm here. Dion's here. Shout out to you, Dion, as usual, he says. My brother, y'all share the show. So, okay, so why did I decide to go with the theme trigger words tonight? For me, I say this all the time on this show. Words mean something. And I know that a lot of people are haphazard with their use of the English language. I mean, for some people, it's intentional to try to say things or to try to quote things in a way that can be very deceiving. We as a society are very successful at throwing words around without a total understanding of what they actually mean or their effects. Let me get Earl Henning in the chat room. Let me get you up right quick. Say what it do, bro. Love us. Yes, sir. Absolutely. The one unique thing about social media is it's social media. A lot of people are drawn to social media because it's obviously a lot of pictures, a lot of videos, but the majority of what you're doing when you tune into social media is reading, if you can, right? So then there's words involved. You see people all the time have social media beefs because somebody said something. He said this about me. She said that about me. You see celebrities now come out 30 years after they filmed the movie or made the album and say, oh, this person was an asshole or this person was that. And then that becomes hot and they get hot again. It reinvigorates their career in a lot of instances. And that's why we have those Vlads and those no jumpers and those whack 100s and all this kind of thing, because people's names get called. And sometimes it's people who haven't been heard from for a very long time. So I said all that to say, there are some words that are intentionally utilized in the mainstream media that make you react in a certain way. When you start talking about marketing, you start talking about like really, really influence in terms of mass media, You have to learn how to pluck the heartstrings. Is what yellow journalism is all about. So there are some words that they can include in any kind of broadcast that are known to set people off. It might be a story you have nothing, I really don't care. But if they throw some of these trigger words in there, you have a reaction. Sometimes it's visceral. I look at individuals who I know in real life, not just their avatar. I know them in real life, and I see that the conversations and like back and forth on social media, and you hardly ever hear me comment or get into this thing because I think it's a waste of words, right? Like if we're not talking about the truth and the facts, what are we really talking about? Right? But you can say and do whatever you want in today's society in regards to someone else behind the keyboard. This is a unique time, because the entire time I've been here, when you said something about or to someone, if that person wanted to hold you accountable, then they did. And more often than not, that was the result. You said my name. What the fuck are we talking about? Now you can throw that dart via the internet with no repercussions. That's why we say mousepad mobsters, keyboard killers. But what are these words that we're talking about? This is where I need my audience to participate. This is where I need the interaction from the people. Think about what word triggers you. Growing up in the Black community, and I don't know if it was like this in other places, but back in the days, the benchmark was if somebody said your mama. Remember, we were young children. So if somebody said your mama, right? He said your mama. Not anything in particular, just yo mama. That was the insult. Yo mama, nigga. This is what? Ooh, he said your mama. Trigger word. He said so. And then we extended it. Your mama, your daddy, your bald-headed granny. Y'all know, come on now. Black community, come on. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? This is how we came up. Those were trigger words. Then when we start to get a little bit older, the trigger words became a little bit more sophisticated, right? Once again, I want y'all to tell me what words trigger you. When you are watching the news, you read the newspaper, you're on the internet, you're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever the fuck they want to call it. Certain messages are designed to make you have a reaction. And they do this by the use of trigger words. That is Outlaw Radio tonight. Outlaw Radio trigger words. Y'all welcome to the show. I see my cohorts with me. But yeah, so we're going to talk about, and I want, as usual, when we do these shows, it's not just about what I say or what I think or how I feel, because I'm really genuinely interested in how y'all feel and what y'all think. So when I say trigger words right now, I want you all out there to start thinking, what can somebody say to me that will get me going? Right? It's like I said, when we was young in the Black community, if you really wanted to fight somebody, you said your mama. You said, what'd he say? And don't let your mama be dead. You got to fight now. He said your mama. Didn't your mama die? Your grandmama just died last week. He said, and your bald head ass granny. You got to get this dude. We triggered, Kamar. So we're gonna do Outlaw Radio Trigger tonight as an introduction. The first part of the show, the introductory part of the show. We'll extend to some other things because I got my good brother here. But I just want us to keep in mind, no matter what we say on this show tonight, I would even encourage you to take stock in saying, I'm listening to this show and I hear them saying a lot of things, but some of the shit they said got me tripping. Trigger words. You go to the chat room. Shout out to Jeff Crape down in Texas, via the 414. He said, your mama or BAN, bitch ass nigga. Yes, sir. Bitch ass nigga in my neighborhood. When you said that to somebody, them fighting words. Say, hold on, man. Whoa. We could be ribbing, going back and forth, Jones and playing at dozens, whatever you define it as, until somebody said, oh, you bitch ass nigga. Whoa. Hold on. What, man? What's up with that shit? Like, so, and I've seen other brothers kind of play with it. Like, that's how they speak to each other, and they'll fuck around and say it to me, like, oh, bitch ass nigga. Whoa, hold on. That's a trigger word on Capital, player.
That's that young nigga shit.
It is.
Young niggas kick it like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bitch ass nigga, please. Bitch ass nigga this, bitch ass nigga that. And, you know what I mean? It's common to them. Or even like down south, I noticed they use the word bitch. Bitch could be anything. It ain't disrespectful at all down there.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They talking about their car, man. I was driving that bitch, man.
Well, I've noticed listening to people from, I believe it's New Orleans. You are 100% correct. And I don't know anybody from there, but I've heard them sneak that word in when they talk.
Yeah.
Oh, bitch, and I'm like, well, what's that? Once again, but even still, Kamar, in conversing with other brothers from different places who maybe have a, you know, I've heard that you get to talking. Hey man, shut your bitch ass up. Whoa. We don't do that over here, bro. And I'm gonna tell you what, it's not about, once again, it's not about me being some kind of mobster or where I'm gonna kill you or I'm gonna do something to you. What I'm going to do is remove myself.
Hey,
and
but you know what?
And I won't be around you moving forward. Go ahead, brother.
I think we got to learn how not to be triggered.
Okay. Well, that's
especially with words, you know what I mean? Because like just because somebody called me a bitch ass nigga, that mean I got to go to prison the rest of my life.
Once again, I just said it ain't about really doing nothing to him. It's about just removing yourself.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like we got to learn how to, you know what I mean, not let these words trigger us so much. Because like
I reserve the right to have you around me. I don't have to be around you.
Well, that too. But you know what I mean? Every so often somebody come around that don't know you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we have to learn how not to let these trigger words trigger us so much. It's like, you know, it's like what I learned about like with meditation is trigger moments. You know what I mean? Like with addiction, I mean, it's trigger moments a lot of the time.
Yeah, what kicks it off? What makes you want to get high?
So even in that sense, you have to learn how to deal with the triggers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it don't set you off. You see what I'm saying? So I'm saying the same thing. So I'm just saying the same thing with trigger words. You know what I'm saying? Because see, we could crash the fuck out just off of words. You know what I mean? And lose everything if we ain't careful.
So let me do this. I do have people here with me. I know I'm on my shit as usual. But of course, the witch doctor's here. He's already made himself known. But I do have my brother who's back again for the first time, right? I don't know how you can say that, back again for the first time. But he's
first time in a long time. How's that?
Vince, Tony, what's going on with you, my brother? How you doing tonight?
Hey, can you hear me, Kev?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm doing good, man. How about you guys? I'm listening to the bitch ass nigga stuff.
Yeah. What?
And I would say, my son who unfortunately spent some time in prison, that's definitely a trigger for him. To if anybody says a bitch ass nigga, that's a trigger for him, and you might get something on your hand if he can't calm himself down.
Yeah. In prison, you learn that if you let somebody talk to you or talk to you like that, people gonna treat you like that. Yeah. So like you really gotta harden up in there, and you can't. You know what I mean? Let a motherfucker get away with that shit there.
I didn't go to prison. I learned that on the block in the neighborhood as a youngster, very knee high to a flea. Like you can't, like once again, this is something that comes from my lineage. This is my mom as a little kid telling me, don't you ever let nobody talk to you like that. I will whoop your ass if I found out that you feel this is so. And I can imagine how it was interpreted in all of my other brothers who grew up in the neighborhood with me in their homes. A lot of our parents then. So people ask, what's the difference between the way we parent now and the way parenting was done then? Back then, parenting was hard. Like my parents was hard. It wasn't no sugarcoating, wasn't no soft shit, wasn't no illusions or delusions. No, whether I'm right or wrong, it's always straight to the point. So like my mom would say, if you let one motherfucker do it, 12 motherfuckers will do it. And you ain't finna be doing that. And so if you get your ass whooped, I'd rather you come home beat up than disrespected. It's like they say, I'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission, right? So I got my chat room popping. Dion said he sees Vince. Of course, y'all know Vince is an outlaw, has been for a very long time. Mac Moan in the building. There we go. I got my partner Vince on air. Yeah, we're gonna big up y'all tonight. We're gonna talk about what y'all got going on. Let me get my chat room. Mama Jenkins, She said, "Good evening, my Outlaw family. I can donate a clock. I've been waiting all day to learn something new and listen to people's opinions." I wasn't late. I was on the phone with somebody who I've known for a very long time, and it just got away from me. Y'all know I love to run my mouth. I'm talking from the time I get up in the morning till I go to sleep. Right? Ask my wife. It's like he never shuts up. But yeah, so Vince, glad to see you again, my brother. I'm glad you're here. We always have very interesting conversations when you're on. But you had some pressing things, that you want to discuss tonight. But I want to start off by letting people know Vince is the agitator, right? Vince is a party pooper. Like Vince, nobody likes Vince except me, right? And I guess Ice Moan, right? So Vince will get it cracking. Trigger words, Vince. How you doing tonight, man? What's going on with you?
Hey, man, I'm doing pretty good. Just got through doing a little bit of work and working some of those muscles that I haven't worked in a minute. So I'm gonna be sore in the morning, But other than that, doing what we do or do what I do, in the community, volunteering and helping out where I can help out or fitting in where I can get in, or when people ask me to be involved in something, I kind of respond to that too. So I think we talked about earlier, and I sent you a video. Matter of fact, I sent you 2 videos, one of a kid, a 5-year-old special needs kid, cornered in the bathroom at WCLL, which is Wisconsin Conservatory School of Lifelong Learning, cornered with 2 8th graders. I don't know how many of them it was, and had a vape pipe in his hand. It's kind of a story, Kevin. I don't know if we want to go into it now. Are we done with the bitch ass nigga stuff?
You know what, Vince? You know how we do it on Outlaw Radio is wherever your precious heart takes you, right? So okay. If you wanted to really put that out here, if you wanted to wait till more people came and gathered around the fire, you could do that. But since the theme of the show is trigger words, which led to the bitch ass nigga thing, I would love to hear your take on it. Because you're OG. So okay, so what's your take on that?
Well, my take on it is, like I say, from my son's perspective, man, it's not a very good word because of his short stint in correction. So even, I've accidentally, mentioned that to him when him and I, because we talk like this, Kev, like you guys talk on the show, me and my son talk like that. But that's something that triggered him, and I didn't know that. And, we had a breakup behind that, in terms of not calling, and he let me know that word, it goes really, really deep. So personally, I don't know. I mean, I think I don't hang around a lot of people that will say a word that would trigger me to in any kind of way. It would, I would ask, well, why would you call me a bitch ass nigga? What does that mean? So it's a conversation piece to me. If somebody want to call me that, I want to know why I'm a bitch ass nigga.
Okay, so check this out. I know you, Vince, because you're cerebral. I have to give you this question from 2 perspectives. First of all, old school. You're old school. Y'all don't know Vince. I ain't gonna say your age. Vince is a triple OG on this show. Back in the days, in your youth, when you was a young wild stallion, there had to be some trigger words. There had to be. I know my dad was old school, and you couldn't say to him, you couldn't call him a sissy, you couldn't call him a cocksucker, you couldn't call him jive turkey is something that was saying, but it was a couple words where he'd be like, hold on, we don't do that. It was the equivalent to our bitch ass nigga. So I want to ask you first, old school, what was the word that somebody could say to you that you could get it cracking?
I don't know if there was a word, Kevin. I mean, okay. I in my household, I mean, like your mother was very powerful. My mother set a precedence very early on in my life, and that shit don't bother me like that.
Okay.
But if something or somebody does something to me, that's a different thing. But there was no one word that anybody could call me, and I was kind of somewhat of a loner too, so I didn't hang out and dig with a whole lot of people. So people didn't really have a need or to call me something out of my name.
Okay. Now we're gonna talk about right now.
That's what I'm talking about. See, that's the 2 differences right there, right? See, on one end, like, you ain't triggered by that stuff. You know what I mean? So it is possible that we can get better with ourselves and not be triggered by these words where we wind up in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Because we can let these words trigger us and we could keep holding on to that shit, but eventually it might catch up to you. You know what I mean? Hopefully it don't, but it just might.
This is why This is why it's wishful thinking, Kamar.
Right.
Because right now, what in the society that we live in, and we stuck on bitch ass nigga, but I want to get away from bitch ass nigga because that's just, I was just giving kind of like an example of urban in our culture. Like I said, yo mama. Back in the days, motherfucker said, yo mama, it's time to take my jacket off. Right. But now there are words in modern day America that we all, even as old OGs, entertain, and the media knows how to use them. So I'm gonna list them off.
Hey Kevin, I'll say this. Hey Kev, I'll say this is that no one ever did say it, but your mama was fighting words when I came up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then look, and that's one that we outgrew of to where we wasn't so triggered no more. Cause see, a motherfucker could say that now and it won't bother me. You know what I mean? But back then, you'd have got hit right in the motherfucking mouth.
Now, here's the question. Here's the question, y'all. I'm gonna get to y'all chat room. Did we really outgrow it or did it evolve? Because check this out. Right now, we live in a society where certain words are still trigger words, even for the most trained, disciplined military mind, right? We start talking about coon, trigger word, house nigga. What the fuck you just say to me? Who a coon? Who a coon? Uncle Tom? Even though we've learned that Uncle Tom was the good guy. Sambo, buck dancing ass dude, triggered at 59. Who the fuck? I know this motherfucker didn't just call me Uncle Tom. Trigger word. Okay, listen. Faggot. You fag. Gay dude say what you just say to me?
What you say that shit you just said. Say that shit you just said.
Triggered. Full grown. Okay. Nigger. Now, we talk about right now us being involved enough to not let this fuck our day up, right? But yet and still, you black, it still hits you no matter where you at. You might be able to play it off. Like Kamar said, you might not be using your reptilian mind, like Kamar you told me about. You might be using your frontal lobe, okay?
Right.
But you somewhere in a white boy say you fucking nigger, it hit you.
It's on.
What this motherfucker say?
It can definitely happen. You know what I mean? And that's why I say this is some shit we got to work on. We need
it'll be a nice conversation.
Be triggers. I did say that.
Yeah. Hey,
well, we went from we outgrew it to wait a minute. It's still
I said we outgrew to your mama.
But see, you don't got to say your mama now. But if you say something disrespectful about my mama, even at this age, and she's resting in peace, I still got moss. You ain't say your mama. You say, yeah, you know your mama was dumb as fuck. I'll be like, hey man, what the fuck you just say? What you say? I don't care if it's an uncle, auntie, granny.
I don't know that I'm gonna crash out because crashing out at this age means jail.
Well, not necessarily.
In my mind, if I take it there, I'm going to fuck the jail, dog.
Or you might just lose your job.
I know it already. I know me. You know what I mean? So that's why I say I can't let that stuff get to me.
Hey, Kamar, just give me the recipe.
This topic here is something that is on my mind every day because I know me.
It's on all of our minds.
So
it's about discipline. Yeah, it's about Kamar. We talk about this all the time. The existence of a foundational black American is to be on point at all times, head on a swivel. I don't know what the fuck finna go on, right? I got to be prepared. And some of what you're talking about, which is kind of like a link to long-term survival, is picking and choosing your battles. So saying, I should slap the shit out this motherfucker, but you know what? I'm at work. I ain't finna let him fuck my health insurance up. I got to go to the dentist. I mean, it's just that kind of thing. Now, let me get the chat room. Back Moan, he said that's my man. We got his back. Me and Vince already know we go back like rocking chairs, man. It's all good. Jeff Crape is shouting out Ice Moan. Mac Moan said, Jeff, what it do, Brody? Okay. Reconvening of sorts. Joey Phillips, my big brother. He said, peace and love, Outlaw Radio. Kevin, that's a big fact. We were not raised on being called bitch ass Negro, but things have changed. Now, Joy has known me since 5-6 years old. So I'm telling you what I was passed by them. You don't let nobody talk to you like that, little dude. Earl Henney said, bitch ass nigga can get you in trouble with me in the 1980s. He said another one is fuck you. But fuck you don't bother me as much. I kind of appreciate fuck you a little bit more now.
I mean, I ain't got to deal with you no more.
Right? Well, yeah, I mean, that's just like, yeah, okay. That's almost like an affirmation for me. Fuck you, Kevin. I've done my job, right? Joy said, can't call a man a hoe ass nigga either. It's a shame that it's a trigger, but we all grew out of that if you are in control of your emotions. It's evolution, bro. It's what is our understanding of this? How do we maintain? So people say, Kev, you about to be 50 years old, man, and you came from there. How you do it? Well, there's levels of understanding, and one of these is saying sooner or later, I can't whoop everybody ass. That's what my mama used to say. She used to say, ain't never been the baddest man on the planet. My mother's ultimate example was Matt Dillinger getting killed. She said Dillinger was the baddest motherfucker ever lived, and they popped his ass. So you ain't got a shot. Milltown Mikey Davis, prayers for you, my brother. You said you're feeling a little bit under the weather, man. Love for you, man. Prayers. I hope everything works out for you, man. You know, we got love, man. That's neighborhood. Earl Henny said, jail food is not for me. Yeah, that not being able to lay down in the bed with a woman. That's two things that I love the most, food and women.
Can't let these trigger words get us.
Right. So John Fletcher said, what up, Outlaw family? LOL trigger word back in the days. What the fuck you gonna punk ass nigga? He said, what the fuck you gonna do, punk ass nigga? Everybody understands what I'm saying. All of us understand this. Mark Ross says, greetings. How you doing, my brother? Mark, my brother. How you doing? Mama G saying, praying you feel better. So, okay. So I want to go back and we'll get into some other stuff, obviously. But so politically now we're very charged. I talked about in the beginning of the show, it's called social media, right? And most of the appeal is that there's visual things. There's videos, there's pictures, but there's comments and there's posts. What you end up doing on social media the most is reading. And when you start reading, you're dealing with words. So you see people with Facebook beefs, Instagram beefs. Kids meet up now after beefing on social media. It's social media, right? So you have to read. Now, in that realm, you got woke. Woke is triggering for white people right now. Even though we know as foundational Black Americans, that word and its original usage and personal references was amongst us. And all we were really saying to each other is, I'm fully aware of what we're up against. I'm not asleep. I'm not tripping. I'm not under any fake false illusions. We would say, you're woke. That was us at first. Well, this conservative political partisan politics shit has come in. Now woke, white people hear woke. That's what got Trump in office, because he was anti-woke, and a lot of white people, I hate woke. What do you hate about being woke?
Yeah.
What do you hate about it? You saying, well, woke people just they don't have a real perspective on life. Based on what? Because they see poor people, they say, oh, somebody should do something for them. If they see hungry people, they say somebody should get them some food. If they see people who are in need, they want to provide the need. That's actually called socialism. And that is an important component of our government. That's why we have welfare, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare. That's why there's social programs in this country. Okay? So, trigger words, you say woke, Nazi. If I call a white man a Nazi, he's like, well, wait a minute, goddammit. My grandparents died in Auschwitz, right?
Right. You can call a white person a racist and they're going to lose they cool.
Call him a hunky.
I'm not a fucking racist.
That's one of them. Racist, Kamar.
Right.
That's what what they want to say about the woke movement is that it's just white people who are afraid to be called racist, and that makes them not speak the truth about things. So thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. That's it. So once again, liberal. That trigger word for a white person. Goddamn liberals. What do you mean liberal? Liberal in what? Why is that bad? Like, words mean something, but they're throwing them around, right? Equity. Because the D and the I, diversity and inclusion, don't really mean too much. Equity means something specific. Y'all know what equity means? You put in so you get out. If you have equity on your house, it's because you've been paying your motherfucking mortgage for a very long time, and you might have an escrow account sitting somewhere. You might not be upside down in your mortgage. There's equity. There's money or a value that you can draw out of it. So when you say diversity, equity, and inclusion, that means not only do we got to hire them, but we got to treat them right. We got to allow them to build up and draw out. Whatever they put in, they deserve it put back out. Okay? So when we start to talk about, what's another word? What's another one? Snitch, rat, right now. Snitch, you snitch ass nigga. What? I ain't never told on nobody. Dude, YouTube is full of people putting up paperwork, penitentiary paperwork on each other. And this shit gets way more views than my goddamn show. I wish I had somebody. I wouldn't put it up anyways. That's not what I do. But I ask people once again, what's your trigger word? Because for me right now, I ain't gonna lie, even at this advanced age and knowing what I know, I do realize certain words, they do trigger me. They do trigger me, you know, not to the point where I'm gonna wild out or like Kamar said, crash out, but it'll catch my attention. If I'm scrolling up through Facebook, I'm not looking for something specific to click on because I scroll past most shit, but a trigger word will have me in there.
Like, give us an example.
Okay, so if I'm scrolling and I see foundational Black Americans really are racist, anti-white or something in regards to that. So if they label us our love for each other in a negative way, so they say, "Oh, look at these racist niggers." It don't bother me because they said nigga. It bothered me because they said we was racist because we were all together on one accord. So if it's anything akin to that, I'm usually gonna stop when I see coon or house nigga or Sambo because I want to know who they talking about because I need to know who the other side is. You see what I'm saying? But not in terms of me really just going to war, like I'm saying, fuck it, it's all over. It would be just it would be a threat. The only thing that really triggers me now is a threat. Like I'm not as triggered by, but they do catch my. That's how I choose what I click on. Right? It's certain words where if I see it in, I say, let me see what this is about. So when you say equality, when you say empowerment, anytime you say black, to me, I'm be honest with you, Vince. Anytime I see the word black, I'm probably gonna see what it's about. Like what the fuck they talking about? So I guess I'm triggered still by the word black, but in a good way. I just want to make a point that is so much right now that we are all guilty of. This whole thing with the finding out that the designer clothing that we covet so highly is made in the same factory as the bootleg shit is in China. Those name brands are trigger words for some people. It's Gucci. Why you buy them ugly ass shoes? They Gucci. They still ugly. They're still ugly. But they Gucci, Kev. You know what I'm saying? Like certain name brands for us, it just sets off. People marketing and advertising play on your emotions all the time. They'll put up a commercial for you, McDonald's, because all of us can remember when we were little what a trip to McDonald's was. It was special. Man, mom took me to McDonald's. I got a Big Mac. When you was 9, 10, that was something. So they'll do a commercial right now and say, remember your first Big Mac. And they might go flashback from the 70s and you got an afro in the back seat. And your mama hands you a sandwich. And then they be like, McDonald's, cherishing your memories. That shit triggered you. You sitting there like, why the fuck I want a Big Mac? I don't even eat this shit. You know what I'm saying? So words mean something. And we gotta be aware of when people use words to trigger us and we jump in. Like Kamar said, we ain't trained enough to not react. So I look, if I go on the internet right now and I put white, racist, honky, Nazi, it'll have 500 comments. If I go on there and say, hey man, we need to encourage advanced literacy training for our young black children, it'll have 50 comments. All them words together, Nazi, racist, oh shit, this is it. It triggers people. So I just want to know if anybody else can talk about what they're triggered by right now. And let's extend it from just words to anything. Vince, and what you're about to talk about is a perfect example because I know you cannot stand to see young children, young men being treated unfairly by this system. It sets you off. You go into action. It makes you jump, right?
It makes me cuckoo crazy.
There you go. Yeah. So now I want to get to the kid that we were talking about because I welcome your input on that. Ewok said, "Don't call me nothing that I ain't." Right? Earl Henny said, kindly kiss my ass, bitch. I mean, I didn't say bitch. Let's talk about women. Well, Kamar, we referenced it, but what will trigger most women?
Bitch.
Even though they girlfriends might say it to each other, they might say it to each other all the time. Let you say it. Oh, bitch, shut up. Wait a minute, motherfucker. It'll trigger them. The most smart, educated you be like, damn, I didn't even know you had that in you. He called me a bitch.
I got one that's triggering for
okay.
Submissive.
Who? Submit. Ooh, triggers. Oh yeah. Put a
Yeah.
post up right now to say black women need to submit to their man. You're gonna have 3,000
Who's going down? You finna lose all your women friends on Facebook.
Ooh-wee. Oh man, it triggers them, man. I love when people act like they're so evolved, but in reality, they're the same kind of person I am, right? And it's a consistent state of self-work, and nobody's done. If I meet a dude who say I got it all figured out, I say, well, you ain't got figured out how to stop lying because you lying your ass off. You ain't got shit figured out. Matter of fact, if you tell me that, I tend to believe you don't got nothing at all figured out. So, okay, let's talk about this again because there's a lot going on with MPS. Robert Miranda will be here next Monday. So y'all haven't heard me talk about the lead in MPS because Robert Miranda is my guy, who's the head of the Fresh Water for Life Action Coalition. We've already conversed. He'll be here Monday. We're going to get the real facts about what's going on with the lead. So I don't know if Vince, you want to talk about that, but let's talk about this kid who you said is recorded being forced to vape in MPS building. Is this an MPS school that he or she was at?
Yeah. Yep. So let me start by saying this is that I think it's some bitch ass shit that people haven't done. And I'll start off by saying this is that I showed that video to the new superintendent where I don't know if they can go on my site or your page or something to see the video, Kevin, but it was on Channel 4 News of the kid vaping. I mean, I've got the raw video on the news program. They showed with their faces covered. But when I got the raw video, I found out where the new superintendent was having her dog and pony show, which was at some school, and I met her there. And I showed her the raw video, and she says that she's going to have somebody jump on it or whatever. I also went down to Cavalier's office on 2 separate occasions and showed the receptionist there, and I said, "Hey, make sure that the mayor sees this and that this is happening at one of his schools." And I also about 3 or 4 weeks ago ran into David Crawley at what is it called, a community brainstorming, which is bullshit, but nevertheless, I showed him the video, and he says that it's the mother's fault. And I'm shocked, and the young lady that heard him say that too, were both shocked. But maybe he was thinking something else, and because they were having a conversation. But nevertheless, I'll start off like that. But let me say this first. It's kind of a unique situation, and we talk about how the universe works, and I think from a universal perspective, this is how this worked for me. I got a call from a teacher, and long story short, I met with 12 teachers from WCLL, Wisconsin Conservatory School of Lifelong Learning. I met with 12 teachers, and also about the situation that they were having. They felt unsafe at the school, and they felt as though the children were unsafe at the school. But they come to me at my house. So I call the I go to the school board and tell them what is happening, because first thing I did was contact the media and said, hey, we got these teachers that are feel unsafe at school. I sent them an email, and then the Sunday I called them and make sure all of them got the email. And after that, on that Monday, I went to the school board and I said, hey, here's what's going on, and I got in contact with one of the directors, and he actually came to the meeting and to talk to these teachers. And some of the things that came out of the meeting is that they felt unsafe. Kids are smoking marijuana in the school. There's fights every day in the school. In a classroom where kids don't have a key to, only the teachers have a key to. A rape is written on the wall. So, but I will touch on lead for a quick minute, because Throwbridge had a lead crisis at their school, and what they did was bring those students to WLLC. However, knowing how dangerous, out of control this school is, they made sure that these kids came in at 30 minutes before the normal kids got there, or the regular kids got there, and they left 30 minutes before they came out. The director and I went up to the school and witnessed. There were kids walking in smelling like marijuana. The teachers coming in late, and the teachers or the people are telling them, well, just sign in and go to class. So it's chaotic and confused. Even so, my kid, a kid that I mentor, goes to that school. He had prior weeks had been suspended for fighting a few weeks. And then the week before that, he had been suspended for smoking marijuana in the school. And that's another story that I have to talk about later. But needless to say, the next week I met with two teachers and a parent about the same school. Moving forward, the following week, the same school. This is when this kid is vaping in the school. The mother came to me. We went down to central office and she went through the process of filling out the paperwork that she needed to fill out to tell the story of what happened to her child. Then the next day, I contacted all of the news people, and one person from Channel 4 contacted me and said that they wanted the exclusive story. So I took the mother down there to give her story, and they obviously it was on the news about that. But the concern is that the mayor, the superintendent, David Crawley, county executive, nobody's outraged about this 5-year-old kid, special needs kids, in the bathroom, unaccompanied, with a vape pipe in his hand. And nobody still hasn't come forth to do anything. And last week, Friday, the mother was supposed to have another interview with Channel 4 News, but that morning she had a therapy appointment. And for whatever reason, after her therapy appointment, she canceled that meeting. And it never took place. She's afraid for her life. They've taken, she has a daughter that goes to the school. They've taken her kids out of that school and sent them to a different school. And at that school, the central office did this. So at that school, the teacher is telling the mother that, I don't know why they sent your kid here because we can't accommodate his special needs. And by that time, also her daughter, who's in the 7th or 8th grade, had also, the word got back at that school what had happened at the other school. So she was being threatened there. So they're telling her to take her kids out of that school also. This mother is on the cusp of going ballistic, and with her mental health that's going on as well. And she can't get any leverage from anybody. Also, in collaboration with the school board director, Leonard, he was talking with the director, the new superintendent, and she told him and I that she was going to meet with the mother. To this day, she has not called this mother or said anything to her or about what happened to her child.
Okay. Whew. Okay. So I want to ask a couple questions for clarity, for the sake of clarity, but let me catch this. John Fletcher says, send them teachers to me. EPU Personal Self-Defense System LLC. We got what they need. Yeah. I don't know if we want some of these kids, some of these teachers to know how to whoop ass. We've seen some teachers in the past few years really get busy. But so for clarity purposes, you said there's a 5-year-old who has a vape pen, and he or she is being forced to smoke by other kids, or is this just somebody?
By 8th graders.
Okay, so there's 8th graders making a 5-year-old vape. Why are 8th graders in the bathroom with 5-year-olds?
Nobody's answering that question. Special needs kids. So some of the things that are going on at the school, they don't have enough teachers first. Classes are filled. In some classes, they have a para that's teaching the class. And one of the stories during the meeting with the 12 teachers is that, they know of a teacher that started and then the next day he quit. And the principal said, well, you can lose your job. And he said, I'd rather lose my job than to lose my life. So there's a lot of things that are going on at that school that are out of control. And the fact of the matter is, the question for me is that these 12 teachers come to me and not go to central office because they're afraid of losing their job.
Okay. So then the second question I would ask is, why is the mom receiving death threats?
I don't know if she's received death threats. So what she's saying is that there's been some threats at the school, not necessarily deaths, but even at this particular school, Kevin, there's parents that's come in there that have fought with students. So it's totally out of control situation, and no one has intervened to do anything positive for that environment.
So would these be the parents of the 8th graders who are involved in making the 5-year-old smoke? Is this what I'm trying to just understand why anybody? Because I would think any parent would say, I'm glad you exposed that because my kid goes there too, and this shit needs to stop. So I'm trying to figure out why there would be any threats at all, unless it's from the families of maybe one of those kids who was in that bathroom who ended up being seen or accused, or it's like, that's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, possibly, Kevin, but it's a internal investigation, so they don't tell the public anything about what's going on or how they handle the situation. But from the mother's perspective, she's afraid because for her children's and herself that something could happen to them. Somebody could come to her house or do something or shoot at her house. And this is something she's actually said. I mean, is wilding out at that school, and some out of control parents have entered the building, and some things have went down in that school.
And you said she also has mental health issues.
Well, I don't know what her mental health issues might be. I would say she's in therapy, and I'm not sure what she's in therapy for. There's a couple of times where between the first meeting with Channel 4 News and the second, that she kind of cut things out. But I mean, she's under a tremendous amount of pressure, and she's not getting any relief. The school is not coming to her. When she went to the school board and they sent this person from the school to talk to her, she felt like that person really didn't give a shit about what she was going through.
Okay, so because there's so much wrong with MPS. Now, this is
so much wrong, and I think
charter school. Is this WCLL? Is this a charter school?
It's an MPS school.
So Wisconsin, what's the name of it?
Wisconsin Conservatory School of Lifelong Learning, WCLL.
Okay.
On 12th and Valida or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what right now we see a lot of MPS buildings that have the same issues.
Yeah.
In terms of really being out of control, and their excuse is that we don't have enough teachers, correct?
That might be one of the excuses, Kevin, but I don't really know because I really hadn't delved into it other than last year with North Division and then this situation here.
So if you were to walk into North Division, right, like, and I'm just picking them out of a bowl of a lot, and I've been in North Division before, and I've seen some things. I worked for MPS for a while, so I've been in almost, or if I didn't work with him, I was working with an organization. I wasn't working for him. I was working with an organization that was working with him. My point is, I've been in a lot of MPS buildings and seen a lot of things, and the number one excuse is always being understaffed. But the pattern of lies of give us $252 million more, even though we have a $1.5 billion budget. If you don't do this, we're going to have to lay people off and cut people. But then when they get it, they say we still cutting people. Right? Now you add on top of this a $200 million tax revenue generation
referendum.
Yeah, well, the tax increase garnered $200 million. Right. And I seen Robert Miranda, and that's why I can't wait till he gets here on Monday. Write an open letter to the mayor and say, we've known about the lead in the schools for a very long time. And rest in peace to Chris Johnson. You and I, my brother, your brother.
Yep.
And if you knew Chris, you knew about this 5, 6, 7 years ago, right? And Flack has been at this for a very long time, and to the point where we allowed Mayor Barrett to kind of skirt, right? And remember, the original set of lies was, well, we don't know nothing about no lead pipes. And then it was, well, you know what? If they was built before a certain time, it probably did have lead pipes. And then it was like, just buy a filter. And then it was like, well, you're going to have to pay for it if you connect it from the street. Like, he spent until his ass went to Luxembourg. And so Robert Miranda put a post up asking, telling the mayor, you were an alderman then, and you all never spoke up about the lead. You let him sweep it under the rug, but you just got $200 million. Don't you think a portion of that should have been dedicated to, because now they've gone, the cities, well, the CDC, come help us. And that was another point Robert Miranda was
said, fuck it.
Right. And that's another point he was making. Like, back then when the CDC wanted to be involved, y'all didn't want to talk to them at all. So with the lead thing, it's deeper than people think. And once again, when you allow $200 million to be pre-allocated, 90% of which goes to the pension plan for the city of Milwaukee, and the other 10% goes to fire and safety. And then you got right now school buildings being, imagine how bad this has to be for them to say, we can't even let these kids go to the school, y'all. Right?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Can I find a trigger word that will get people more upset about this shit? I say robbery. I say thief. When you call somebody a thief, who you got? What? I ain't stole. Robbery, right? Con artist, criminal. What? We got to put trigger words to this. This is something we need to inject these trigger words so people will be upset. And the security and the management, the actual operation of the schools, we know is faulty. But on top of all this, you have a 50% truancy rate. Of a 50% truancy rate and probably about a 35 to 40% special ed population in MPS. So these are problems on top of problems on top of problems. And then, like my brother Earl Henning says in the chat room, no home training is the problem. And we have to care about us. Now, I asked you about the mother's mental health, Vince, to not throw her under the bus, but to help people understand if she is dealing with any kind of situations with mental health and the extreme pressure and the dedication and the grit you got to have to really expose something like this. Of course, she's going to cancel interviews. The pressure will get to her. So somebody will come and try to do an interview with her, and the pundits will say, see, she don't even know what she's talking about. It's her family. I mean, it's her fault. Like you said, it's her fault.
Yeah.
Without even having really met with her. Have any of these individuals met with her? Or they just looked at something and said, it's her fault?
No, only one person said it was her fault, and that was David Crawley. Other than that, no one else has responded to it. And my concern is if this was a Caucasian child, everybody in their mama would have been in front of the media saying, look what happened to this baby and taking care of the situation. But nobody has come out and I mean, it's clearly that this is a baby, a 5-year-old baby.
5 years old, yeah.
And ain't nobody came out to say nothing other than it's under investigation. But the public and what, Channel 12, Channel 58, and Channel 6 didn't even cover it. If they do, they glazed over it. So it hasn't made all of the news networks. And yeah, it's crazy that somebody's not going ballistic. The mayor or somebody should be going ballistic behind this, and something should be done, and somebody should be talking to this mother.
And so, what about this situation made our brother DC say it's the mother's fault?
I don't know. He just, like I said, Kevin, I was at a meeting with a community brainstorming meeting, and we had a sidebar after the meeting, and he and this female lawyer was going at each other. So when I showed him the video, his first reaction was, it's the mother's fault. And maybe he just wanted to get back to that conversation with that female. So he just
blowed it out. Words mean something. Fault is a trigger word.
Because after he left, she and I had a long conversation about what he said and how could this be the mother's fault. And she said on camera, I send my kid to school. I'm afraid for him. And no parent should have to send their kid to any school anywhere and be afraid that something's going to happen to them, or that their 5-year-old baby who has special needs is in the bathroom with a bunch of 8th graders unaccompanied.
Shouldn't even happen. It
shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't even happen.
And nobody's outraged. That's be outraged.
That's negligence. God King Hayes, how you doing, my brother? He said the homes are broken, the schools are broken, the communities are broken. He said the children are broken. And he says because the community isn't outraged. I think he's talking about, well, once again, what do you got to do to wake these people up in this city? Look, we got a young sister on her back at the Mayfair Mall with a dog hooked to her foot, and the trainer can't even get the dog off of her. We still going to Mayfair. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? We allow people to mistreat us. I just, once again, I was late tonight because I was talking to my homeboy who I shout out to Q Love out in Las Vegas, who I went to high school with, and he was saying, like, Kev, when we was in high school, like, you just talking about the old days. But I was saying, like, my mom, and that's why I want trigger words. My mom, she said words mean something. You don't let nobody say something or treat you a certain way. You can't allow it. You have to say something. You have to do something. You got to stand up for yourself. I don't see us as a community, even though we're 44% of this community, doing something about anything. It's all hype and rhetoric, right? So if, we got a white guy on video at a store calling someone a nigger, because nigger, trigger word, right? Oh, but you'll be back at Mayfair next week to get the pink and green Jordans. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. A lot of y'all got to look into South Africa and talk about what it meant to divest. I don't know if people are still familiar with that concept. And I'm not speaking down to my people. I'm saying all of us together, we all need to do it. Yeah. What we just learned about these name brands is the perfect setup for an economic boycott. Why is that not the reaction? Instead of somebody saying, shit, they Gucci fake, mine ain't. My shit real.
All that shit fake, yeah.
Right. You got some people right now who's saying that. No, man, I got my shit from the Gucci store. Okay. Congratulations, right?
Yeah.
Earl Henning said hurt people hurt people. Absolutely. I'm not one of these individuals who wants to downplay anything that happens, but the occurrence of some travesties and negligence in MPS are too many to number. And I said, why would the kids get death threats? But I get that because other kids are probably hearing from their parents saying, "Oh, dude is a snitch. His mama done put the video." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's enough. What I just say, snitch, trigger word. Matter of fact, welcome to Outlaw Radio tonight. It's called Trigger Words. Phone number is 262.
Well, honestly, I mean, Kevin, she did say she's afraid that somebody might come shoot up her house. So that's, that's the snitch part of it.
Yeah, but what trigger word?
Yeah.
Snitch. I said that was it. You call somebody a rat. Hey, that's real. Hey, that's what, hey man, what you say? Like it makes you stop and say, I know this motherfucker didn't just say that. Like, we all have those words. We have, and I want people to be able to examine themselves and say, where do I fit in here? Where am I at? Because we're all in this spectrum from one end to the other. And I know a lot of us like to believe we so far from, oh no, I'm way too real to do that. And then I see you crashing out on some shit, and I'll be like, what happened? Man, everybody got an issue. Everybody got issues. That's what we've been saying the whole time. Fuck you talking about? But yeah, so MPS, but where do you go? You got a new superintendent. MPS got to be as fractured as you can possibly be leadership-wise right now, because it's all about passing the buck. You ain't passing nothing major to this new superintendent. She just came. She don't know her asshole from her elbow yet.
Yeah, and she doesn't. But I'm not done with her. I think she should pack her shit and get the fuck up out of Dodge.
Damn, Vince, she just got here.
It don't matter. The fact of the matter is that this is you didn't step up to the plate. I mean, you saw, if that was your 5-year-old baby, why aren't you outraged about this? And here's my problem is that she's come in and she's got this alignment with the school board, who we all know is incompetent, all of them. And also she's gotten in alignment with the central office, where you got a bunch of people down there that's making hundreds of thousands of dollars, 6 figures, and our teachers aren't making money, and we don't have enough teachers. But that building and that parking lot, that bitch is full.
And here's another thing for y'all. I can tell y'all, we found out today, as much as this is what our mayor, this is what bothers me. He's so callous. He's just no, huh? What? What? No, that ain't me. That ain't us. MPS, we found out today the MPS, the buildings are actually owned by the city of Milwaukee. Okay. Yeah. So whatever's going on inside them buildings, all these years you've been saying, hey, we ain't got nothing to do with MPS. It's not us. It's not us. But you own the buildings.
Kevin, nobody knows what's going on in this city.
Right. Nobody knows. Nobody. Yeah. That's why we always just say the mayor just be like, what? You bullshitting. That happened? Yeah. Oh, let me go down here. Hey, let's get together, y'all. Man, we have the most press conference having this motherfuckers in this country. One thing about our politicians in Milwaukee, they will throw a press conference for your ass. And if you're looking in the background, it's usually probably the same 5, 6, 7 people. That sometimes they holding hands, sometimes they ain't. And I said, I brought this esteemed group of individuals. That's what he said. It's sad. It's sad. In a city that's 44% black, where we actually have a cultural epicenter. We have a very strong cultural epicenter in this city. There's real live culture here. There's places you can go and we have a Black Holocaust museum. We have programs where kids can go and learn all kinds of heritage and lineage of dancing, art, music. We got all this. We got an area of the city that is damn near all black. But what are we doing? What are we doing? You know, and they slowly coming in here gentrifying, and they gonna snatch this rug out from under our feet. And our mayor is a promoter of gentrification. I haven't seen anything else that he's done that led me to think there's any other explanation of how his leadership has been very bland, no seasoning. How long has he been mayor? So he came in, he had 2 years, right? Special election. This is the second year of his term, his next term, right? So we're talking about the equivalent of what, about 4 or 5 years now. And all you got for me is a 3% increase in crime, and you say crime is down, but murder's up, rape is up. Hey, we doing better. You're lying. We're not. You're lying. We're not. So I don't know. I don't see the oomph from the people right now, because I don't feel like anybody's gonna do anything political, especially in light of what with Trump. Because right now you don't want to get your name on the list. They even talking about now he gonna send black people to what is it, El Salvador? Like, come on, man. Like,
hey,
he talking about sending prisoners. I'm like, how is this dude? He just say whatever the fuck comes out his head in his head. Yeah, I'd love to send prisoners to El Salvador. Why? Why would you send prisoners to El Salvador? They have right now, they have the wrong people that they snatched off the street and sent somewhere. They put the gay boy in prison. They said he had on lipstick. And they didn't say he down there in jail getting whooped. And the dude down there like, I ain't sending dude back. And Trump like, well, you know, hey, the Supreme Court said you got to bring him back, Trump. He said, well, you know. Like, I'm like, what are y'all looking at? America, what y'all looking at, man? What are we? This is a crazy, crazy time. I'll tell you what, if you can survive these days and times, on the other side, Kamar, Vince, we're going to have a hell of a story to tell. Our kids will be able to.
There's going to be another side for us. That's the concern that I have. Because, I mean, what we're seeing, you know, with things like this happening and what's going on in our communities, either our boys are being feminized or they're being trained how to kill. I mean, Where do we go from there?
Earl Henny said they have professional painters on staff. What is the problem? Now, Dion said you lying like a motherfucker. What am I lying about? Anybody hear anything that I was lying about that I just talked about? Is this not true? Is Trump not saying like, hey, anybody can get you?
He said it.
Okay. I just want to know. He said I'm lying. Let me see.
What part are you lying about?
Well, he's on the line, so we can get to see. Dion.
Oh my God. No, kid, I'm saying you was like the gay boy up for wearing lipstick. I was like, you lying like
oh, okay. No, that was
Hey, but listen, motherfuckers been warning people. You know, they've been warning motherfuckers like, listen, you don't want them Trump people to knock on your door. It's been fuck around. You know what I'm saying? Your ass, your family wants. It ain't funny though, bro. But I'm talking about, nigga, when I heard that shit today, I laughed all day at work. Cause that shit true. We be on it, cause you know, I'm one of them motherfuckers. I be on the internet, I be like, fuck Trump, he a piece of shit, this, that, that. Fuck around and motherfucker come knock on my door. Shit, the dogs left alone. I won't be calling Outlaw Radio no more. They be like, what Dion at? Motherfucking Trump people came and snatched me up on Twitter talking shit.
Hey man, I'm trying to tell you.
They should leave this
administration. As frustrated as people are in this country right now, I said this. And like, so now the talk is, okay, so now I see that people saying, okay, well, black people, we've been saying, well, hold on, y'all. Before we jump out here and just overreact to what he's doing, a lot of shit he's doing ain't aimed directly at us. With some strays. But it ain't came straight at us, right?
Not yet.
Well, not yet. So now it's like black people are honestly
scared.
They waiting to say, see, we knew it. We knew it was coming, right? But because it seemed like every day that shot get a little bit closer, like, oh shit, that almost seemed like it was. Because with the DEI thing, at first it was kind of like, okay, well, DEI, especially if you're in the workforce as a professional, you know, that this whole DEI movement hasn't necessarily moved the needle in terms of hiring practices, right? Have our roles really increased in these companies, in these organizations? No, they haven't.
Still same numbers.
Unless you are a specific part of DEI, meaning you might be gay or a white woman or a Latino or an Asian. For us as black people, it really hadn't really started hitting home. Now, where it's starting to hit us at now is because you're going after universities and colleges snatching funding because they have DEI scholarships, which some black children have. They actually needed it to attend that school. So now you're starting to hurt our babies. Now it starts like that. And then now you've gone and said, well, we're going to make it legal now if somebody want to put whites only in the window of their business, which once again, I feel like that don't necessarily bother me because I'd rather know.
Yeah.
See, like I don't want to go in a restaurant and eat and they don't like black people there because it's probably all kinds of shit on my burger. Right. If you say no whites, I'm like, ooh, I'm glad you told me. I don't want to be in that motherfucker if you say no blacks allowed, whites only. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not one of them black people who be comfortable when it's all white people. Like you go somewhere and you be like, ooh, I feel safe. It's all white people. Shit.
Hey,
Yeah.
Kev, I was at the cigar shop Metro out on something in Capitol. Man, they had a Trump party after the election. I told man, I ain't gonna never step a foot up in that bitch, and I put it on Facebook. Ain't nobody of our persuasion should ever go up in that again to spend one penny up in there. They'll never see me near that place.
What's the name of it?
Metro Cigar.
Hey Vince, I went to Branson, Missouri for my birthday. That was a Trump town, the whole fucking town. They had stores where you could buy Trump memorabilia. People was decorating their houses like it was Halloween with Trump stuff. Man, this shit was crazy. You go in the restaurants, they got T-shirts, they selling Trump shirts and all kind of shit. Man, look,
how long you stay down there?
We was there for about 3 days, right? But this is what it was. Let me tell you, we had a slick condo where we was staying. So we looked at each other while we was in the second restaurant. Like, hold on, man, look, all these restaurants is Trump supporters. And it's all white people in these joints. We probably don't want to eat here, baby. So we decided to just go to the grocery store, go grocery shopping, take that shit to the condo, and we ate like kings and queens.
I know that's right.
Stayed out them people's face, you know what I'm saying, and got on up out of there. But we still had a good time.
Yeah, you would have got some shit up in that food.
Man,
yeah, I mean, once again, I think we like sometimes looking good is better than actually doing good for us a lot. Because, you know, if you really broken down on the inside, it's like if you got a raggedy ass car, but you go get it painted, right? The engine's bad, the tires is bad, everything's bad, but you just put some paint on it. Hey, look, you saw it's a nice paint job, but that's a fucked up car. A lot of us just fucked up cars. Like that's why we won't name brands. That's why we want to go and get. I mean, listen, I'm not one of those dudes who criticize sisters, but most of the confident, self-assured, strong-minded sisters, most of them, not all of them, don't have fake lashes, don't have a bunch of weave, don't wear a bunch of makeup, don't go overboard to try to show you that they got a big ass or some nice breasts. They don't do that. They present themselves in a certain way. And I'm not saying that you got to be nappy-headed or, you know, wearing certain shit. I'm saying that beauty shines and they're self-assured. They're okay with who they are on the inside. So it's like, I ain't got to do all that. I don't need no long. Now, once again, sisters who do it, I feel like you're hiding behind something. It's like brothers now with the paint when they go get their hair cut and let somebody spray. I'm not letting you spray paint my hairline, bro. My beard is salt and pepper. Even when it goes all white, I'm not dying shit. I'm cool on the inside. Right. So, you know, me getting it taken care of and cut and trimmed is saying I'm gonna take care of the outside too. But my focus most of the time is inside. Like I gotta make sure my mind is right. Like I said, not getting set off by trigger words, so I'll be snapped out. I had to explain to my wife why I'm in the house of correction. She's like, "Your ass is too old."
Hair and makeup is a trigger subject.
Oh, okay. I don't see
it.
Yeah,
that's a trigger subject. That's like talking about Trump.
Like BBLs. That's a trigger words, man. I'm trying to tell y'all.
Right. Hey, y'all hear about y'all
BBLs stank after a while.
People talking about how stanky them BBLs is.
You know what? I tried to add y'all. Shame on y'all, man. I'm gonna give y'all one of these.
I ain't never been around them like that.
I haven't either.
Hey man, what's a BBL?
So BBL is a Brazilian butt lift where they're basically gonna take some fat, I guess, from another part of your body and put it in place like your ass or your breasts or I don't know. They take it out your stomach, make you have a bigger ass. But okay, so I kept hearing that rumor that these women who have these BBLs develop this smell And so I said, I got to research this, right? I got to know, like, is this true? And there's some merit to these surgeries.
Motherfucker said they smell like old sneakers.
Well, they say if you use the bathroom and you don't clean thoroughly because of the surgery and all this kind of stuff, it makes it more intense. I'm just saying, somebody who I know very well said that to me. Like, yo, my girl. And I was like, nah, cuz, like, I don't never want no brother to ever tell me.
You know, when I first heard about it, though, it was talking about Jocelyn Hernandez from Love and Hip Hop.
Okay.
The big Puerto Rican chick.
Does she have a BBL?
Yes, oh yeah. Her husband was her. They split from her and her husband split up, and her husband started airing their dirty laundry out.
Wait, when this happened? How did I miss this? Whoa! I thought Stevie J was her last boyfriend. Like,
oh
so
no,
I know
she
Vince like, I ain't on here for this shit.
She got married to somebody else and everything.
Yeah, to do Ballistic Beats, right? Like, I didn't know. I seen it from Cardi B's ex-husband, or they said she allegedly said one of the reasons he cheated on her is because the smell from the BBL. So I don't.
Yeah, that's another.
Yeah, that's sad. That's sad.
Yeah, that's stinky, man.
That's hilarious. That ain't sad. They chose that shit.
Well, come on, man. Like, come on, have a heart, bro. Like,
how you gonna feel bad for something somebody wanted?
Well, hey man, you don't always know. You wish for something, you get it. You don't always know, but it's not reversible. Like, you got to go through a process to get these things reversed. I don't know the fact.
Can you get rid of the? Hey, Kev, can you get rid of the stank though?
I don't know. That's what I don't know that this is really a legitimate thing right now. It's alleged, Vince. We don't.
We don't know personally.
We don't know. My wife doesn't have one, and I don't have one.
Right? I don't know if it's hurt men talking about them because they split up. I don't know.
And she stank.
Right? The thing is this, right? If it stank, like, why you still with him? Why'd you stay?
If
it's that much of a problem, why'd you stay?
You can't leave your wife because she stank. Come on, you can't get a divorce.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You ain't married like that.
It's that era. What they call it when you? What do they call it when they say y'all just fucked? What do they irreconcilable differences?
Yeah, that's what that is.
Your Honor, I just can't take this shit no more.
Literally.
Sit down there is atrocious.
Yeah, you in the courtroom like, y'all smell that shit? Y'all smell that? Y'all smell that? Oh, come on.
Man.
Oh man, that's bad.
Kev, you worse than Kamar.
I know. But it's for me to try to blame him for the shit, right? So people say, but Kev was cool about it. No, it was Kamar who was tripping, right?
Hey, Kev.
Yeah.
Did you see that speech Obama did that I shared in the People's Network? And I sent you that thing about, what triggers me is that identity politics. That's one of my trigger words. I hate that shit.
Okay, explain that a little bit, because you said
I feel like when you try to play identity politics, you on the losing end of the stick. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we already went through this. Then
what is identity politics? Define that for people who might not know.
I feel like this is what I feel like. We as Black people try to use our vote, saying, well, we're not going to vote for a certain candidate because we feel like this candidate is not doing anything sufficient enough for us that we could literally see something that's, tangible, where we be like, well, they're not doing anything for Black people. You know what I'm saying? So we be like, well, I'm not going to vote for this person because they're not doing anything for us. And you know what I'm saying? So I feel like we use our identity as a whole, as a Black people, to try to persuade our vote, when I feel like it's not enough of us to do that.
But that's not identity politics. That's not what identity politics is.
Well, what is identity politics then? Maybe break it down to me, Ken.
First of all, I think what you're talking about is swing power and understanding how swing power works in terms of swing votes in swing states. Meaning that there's a percentage of the population that has the ability, when an election is close, to sway the results. So that group, in order to commit to being the potential swing factor in an election, should absolutely qualify and quantify what they want from the person they're going to support. But I'm going to read the definition of identity politics.
I got it right now.
Identity politics is politics based on a particular identity, such as ethnicity, race, nationality, religion, denomination, gender, sexual orientation, social background, political affiliation, caste, age, education, disability, intelligence, and social class. That has nothing to do with swing power. No, because you said what it is people who are using whether or not a candidate will do something. People. Well, okay, so you're saying we as black people shouldn't demand that a candidate do something to earn our vote. That is just counterproductive. That don't even make sense. So who are you gonna vote for if you're not gonna vote for a person who's telling you what they're gonna do for you? Who you gonna vote for?
I feel this is my opinion, and I just said it about what the identity politics is. You know what I'm saying? You just said by us as black people,
voting for somebody because they're black has nothing to, because Obama didn't promise us shit.
I didn't say nobody because they're black. Like, say for instance,
that's what the definition says. It says race.
I'm gonna use these people as an example. The Palestinians in Michigan didn't want to vote for Kamala Harris because they felt like she was an extension of Joe Biden supporting the war over there in Gaza with Israel.
Okay.
So they held that. Now, we're not saying that if enough of them would have voted, maybe it would have swayed the demographics as far as over there in Michigan, but they chose to say, we're going to sit this election out because we can't support these people who support this war. So by them doing that, to me, that's identity politics saying, hey, we are a group of people. And that's almost like extortion to me. Like, we're going to extort you to say, hey, we're going to hold our vote back from you unless you do something for us.
It's vote.
All the time.
So do you know how many groups of people could do that? You got the Jews, you got the blacks, you got But to me, it's bullshit, though. That's what I'm telling you. Because
it's bullshit for black people to do it. You saying it's bullshit for black people to do it?
Man, it's bullshit for anybody to do it. You know what I'm saying? Especially us, because we are a small minority. Even if, Ken, do you think even if all of us didn't vote, it's still going to have an effect on the election?
Absolutely it would.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely it would.
Because white people going to do what white people going to do.
But that's not totally true. That's not totally true.
And also, you got to understand, just because you got a few liberal and few progressive white people that feel like they can still vote Democratic politics, they are still white. And whiteness is that's their first thing. And just like we want to uphold blackness, they want to uphold whiteness. So if they see a group of black people trying to band together, like, oh, what those niggas are doing? We're trying to, give them a little bit of this and a little bit of that to keep them persuasive. They don't want to give us a political stronghold where we have more dominance than them. So this is my opinion.
I understand that. It's your opinion.
I just feel like the identity politics is bullshit and it's not working. Okay. Because and then that's probably, and then to keep it real with you, like me and my guy was just talking the other day. Let me get
Kamar and Vince's opinion on this, because it's just been you and myself. So Vince, I want to start with you, and then Kamar will get you. Identity politics, which I think you're connecting the wrong trains, because identity politics, me voting for somebody because they're black, it's totally different from me voting from somebody who says,
we're not voting. Don't say because we're black.
Let me lay mine out, like you just said. I let you talk, so let me talk.
Okay,
I said me too. I said this is my opinion on it. Utilizing your power to command a certain amount of influence on the system by voting for a candidate who identifies you and your best interests is what elections are all about. Now, Vince, I wanted to get your take on this. Identity politics versus swing power, all of the above. Go ahead, my brother.
Man, I don't have very much to say about it in terms of, when I look at politics and, swing votes, identity politics or whatever it is, people in different categories, different groups, they decide what's on their agenda and they vote accordingly. Unfortunately, we don't have an agenda, and not very many of us, especially in Milwaukee, of our persuasion, even considered identity or swing or whatever when it comes to voting. We don't even go to the polls.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it. We just say fuck it, we ain't voting. Kamar, what's your take on this, my brother?
Well, we talk about what do we need, right? We always got conversations in our community about what we need. You know what I mean? When we come across a collective agreement of what we need, You know what I mean? That means we ride together, right? So in that sense, you know what I mean? Like we supposed to be figuring out what we need and which candidate we feel like gonna help us meet those needs. And that's who you vote for, individually and collectively. That's the process. You know what I mean? You got needs, and who gonna fulfill those needs, and that's who you want in office.
Okay, so
if
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, come on.
If our community having a problem with stolies and all this type of shit, right? And the people ain't doing nothing about it. We need somebody in office that's going to do something about these stolies. We all feel like we need something about these stolies. If you want this group of people vote, we need to know you're going to do something about these stolies. Simple.
Right. Okay, so we have discussed this on the show plenty of times, and Dion and I, we know that we disagree on this, but by his logic, you're saying Black people shouldn't use their vote to say, if you don't do this for us, we're not going to vote for you. My question for him was, well, then who or how do you vote then if you're not voting for somebody who's supposed to represent your best interest? What do you do then?
Listen, I'm going to tell you this, and I don't want to offend. It's not going to offend none of us because we are.
You want to offend us by telling us what to do.
But listen, Black people, a lot of Black people, and we'll say maybe a small percentage.
No, tell us what to do.
Are not politically educated.
Tell us what to do. Don't tell us about us. Don't tell us about us, Dion. Tell us what to do. Answer the question.
Hold on. Because look what happened.
No,
we had people this election.
That's how you communicate.
The first thing they'll do is be like, well, the Democrats ain't doing shit for us and blah, 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 this, and shut the election out. And look what the fuck we going through. We got to be censored on what we say because these motherfuckers might come knocking our door and unfind our ass, and our family don't even know where we at. You know what I'm saying?
That ain't going to happen.
Well, I feel like you're getting further and further away from answering the question. Because once again, the question was, okay, if we're not going to utilize our vote as a bargaining chip, what do we use it for? How should we vote? We should say, well, what white people voting for? Okay, we with them. I mean, what are we supposed to do? What, as a Black voter, what do you do besides look for somebody who represents your best interest and say, hey, let's support this person? That's why people give endorsements. That's why the politicians endorse other politicians. Hey, he's with the same agenda as us, and that tells the people who voted for him or her, vote for this person. That's a bargaining chip. So
I would say we have to be on the same accord, though. If we all not on the same accord, and that looks like it'll never happen, though. You know what I'm saying?
So that's your answer, is be on the same accord. Ain't that what we trying to do?
That's what we just said.
We're supposed to use that vote to persuade that we will have to be on the same accord. But right now, we're not on the same accord, so we can't be trying to be like, well, and then basically, the thing is, we withhold it. You know what I'm saying? We selfishly be like, well, I'm not going to vote for anybody because they're not for my best interest. And, you know, like, just like we argue every time Monday, like, look what we went through Monday. A motherfucker sitting up there talking about Miss Crockett ain't for us. You know what I'm saying? This, that, and another. So even if we all did try to gravitate towards one, it'll be that one motherfucker in the background. Like,
yeah, but that one motherfucker is not more important than all of us on a whole.
Hey, so now you that one motherfucker.
He can be a hater all he wants. That's not going to affect the price of tea in China. What I'm still going to say is, okay, he don't want to be here. Who with me? It's just that simple. And there's going to be a bunch more people say, man, fuck what dude talking about. This is why 75% of Black women still voted Democratically. And what was it? 65% of Black men, 85% collectively still voted Democratically, because we knew that Trump and his white nationalist regime did not have our best interests at heart. The problem is that everybody else didn't know that, because they totally voted. Latinos, they voted against their own interests. Their asses is getting deported. How you getting deported with a Latino for Trump t-shirt on? Let me go to my chat room, man. Let me get in one of these. And I can't wait till Robert Miranda gets here Monday, because I want to talk about that as well. And it's going to be a very interesting conversation, because he's a Latino. Tiasha Arthur's in the chat room. She said because he wants to have the ones deported to El Salvador to get slaughtered. He paid the El Salvador president to put them in prison. They torture and slaughter their own citizens. She said the Klan leader is trying to make a concentration camp. Chuck Hall, one of my other big brothers from another mother who raised once. This is my neighborhood, y'all, 17th and Capitol. He said, Joey Phillips, it boiled down to respect. A real man not going to disrespect another man that way. That was in regards to when we were talking about trigger words and we were saying what triggers you as an individual. And we started talking about these rules that we have in our community where you can't say and ain't supposed to say certain shit to me. Right? Like, so if you call me a bitch ass nigga, or if you know, if you just shut your motherfucking ass up, huh? Wait a minute, time out. Whoa. Like we said when we was little kids, your mama set it off. Motherfucker say your mama. Ooh, whole classroom. Ooh, he said your mama. He had it, your mama, your daddy, your bald-headed granny, right? We had
your greasy ass grandmammy. Hey, and Vince, hold on real quick here. And Vince, you said that man. See, the thing about it is, and that's what I was when I started off. I asked Kevin, he listened to that thing about with Barack, you know, and he was breaking that shit down. He was like, you know, for and all of us, you know, through the whole United States, we took living normal for granted. This man is doing a test run on that man from Massachusetts. So don't never think that some bullshit can happen and you get swept up in some shit and now you in one of them prison camps in Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, one of them other countries.
Code you know red.
They're doing test runs on shit. So I'm not gonna sit up here and say what the Trump administration won't do. What I want not to happen is for my goofy old ass to get swept up in it because I don't want to. I like prison over here. You know, if I chose a prison, I'm a little comfortable. And I ain't never been to a prison out of, you know, another country like El Salvador or Guatemala or whatever them countries is and shit. So, you know, like, I don't want to go through that.
Hey, Dion,
over some words. What?
You know you still didn't answer the question, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. Hold on. We asked you a direct question. We said, okay.
About what?
Because I see how you tried to mix identity politics in, and that's more about identifying with a cultural group than identifying with policy or proposed policy and procedure and legislation and understanding that there's legislation that's needed and it starts with elected officials. So you got to get the ones who are on your side. But we ask you, okay, if we as black people, let's just be specific about black people. If we as black people don't say, we got to make sure our vote goes in the right place and counts for the right thing. And somebody said, well, hold on, y'all, we can't use our vote as a bargaining chip. Then we say, okay, so what should we do and how should we do it? You don't got to explain to me about our issues. You don't have to describe the problems. You said that we shouldn't do it this way. So you should be the person to answer what we should do then. See, don't tell me what the problem is and you ain't got no solution. Because a lot of times I'm like, I know Captain Obvious. Hey, Kev, I think your tire flat. I know goddamn well the tire's flat. I can feel the car just like you. What we going to do about it? Go ahead.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't think it probably is a solution for it. You know what I'm saying? Because if we did try to hold our vote back and use it as a bargaining chip, motherfuckers still gonna do what they want to do.
But you just said sitting out was wrong. You just said sitting out and not voting at all is wrong. So how is not doing anything any different from that?
So then if that's the case, we should have voted for Trump then. Because we used our bargaining chip. The bargaining chip was...
We voted for who we felt like we should have voted for.
Hey, the bargaining chip was to not allow Trump back in so he could implement the 25 shit, right, Dion? So that's why we voted for Kamala. You know what I mean? That's the same thing as using a bargaining chip. We didn't want that shit, so we voted against that.
So I would say Obama was probably the purest example of identity politics because I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I voted for Obama because he was black. He said we wouldn't have a black agenda in the beginning. He distanced himself from the great minister Farrakhan in the beginning. He said, I'm everybody president. In the beginning, I still said, I don't give a fuck. I'm voting for Barack. I voted twice for him. That was identity politics.
He even distanced himself from a black Christian preacher.
Yeah, extreme, but yeah, still, yeah. Jeremiah was a brother. Reverend Wright was something else, man. He
Well, yeah,
was something else.
but hey, it was still
Yeah,
his
I know.
pastor.
No, I'm saying Barack knew he couldn't. He knew he wasn't winning if he had kept going to dude church. He knew they was gonna be like, no. I'm just saying. Had we not been engaged, in identity politics, then who would have been the president instead of Obama? Who was we looking at the first time he ran?
We didn't get Obama elected though. The white people got Obama elected.
Black voters didn't get Barack Obama elected, dude.
Hell no!
Are you out of your mind? We
Obama.
voted it in record numbers. What, Dion? Seriously? Black people didn't
we voted.
You might get deported for that one.
No. I'm not going
to
the proof is in the pudding. We gonna put you on the bus to go to El Salvador, man. You gonna be down there with the sweet boy in the cell talking about what they got you in here for. You from Milwaukee?
Say that shit you said on Outlaw Radio. Say that shit. Say it, Dion.
I'm from Milwaukee too. Where you went to school at? It's like, motherfucker, can I get my phone call? Nah, man. I'm joking around, Dion, but I'm saying, like, you saying a bunch of different stuff at the same time, and it's all leading back to nowhere. I don't like for nobody to complain about what our issues are unless they can tell you what a possible solution would be. Just like we just talked about MPS, right? And we talked about all the problems MPS has, but we also look at the failure of their leadership. We also talk about how their governance is all fucked off. And it's got a lot to do with personal accountability for the people on the school board, which are elected officials. So if we demand from somebody who's running from the school board, look, man, we want you to put a premium on literacy. We need to start talking about getting our kids back into the school. The relationship with the community has to be repaired. Parents have to start to feel more welcome. Those are the things we need for you to do if you want our vote, as opposed to saying, I'm just going to vote for her because she's black or because she got a PhD and she taught for a long time. That don't mean you know sheep shit from wild honey. There has to be some qualifications. We have to vet the candidates. So, I mean, but you, Dion, you welcome to your opinion, man. And anybody else, this show ain't about you agreeing with me. But at least when we ask you what we should do, Dion, tell us what we should do. Don't say, I don't know. I don't think we can do nothing.
Shit, you really can't do nothing, though.
I think change is made by people who want change.
Because if you say, well, if I'm not gonna vote for these people, then we holding it back.
Well, that was the wrong thing to do. We voted for Kamala because we didn't want Project 2025. But the answer wasn't sitting it out. And people, I'm voting for Cornel West. I'm voting for Michael Jackson. I'm voting for Deputy Dog. Okay, you're wasting your vote because there's only Kamala and Trump. Pick a side, nigga. Because if you don't do nothing, I'm gonna be like, well, you ain't even got no opinion. You didn't even come out the motherfucking house. It's like, look, if I can equate it to the streets again, we go back to, hey, we all go somewhere, 5, 6, 7, 8 of us, right? Something happens. It's time to get down. 6 of us fight, 2 dudes hit it. After that, they don't got shit to say. When we telling the story about the fight, they can't even say, hell yeah, and I say, because somebody like, shut your ass up. You ran. You didn't even fight. In fact, why you even here? Take your ass back to wherever the fuck you ran to. I'm saying you didn't at least pinch the bitch. I'm just saying you gotta fight back. We can't sit complacent, Dion. We can't sit and say, oh well, you said the white man gonna do what the white man do. Imagine if Martin had said that. Imagine if Malcolm had said that.
I mean, shit, they basically did say that without saying that. You know what I'm saying?
Neither one of them said that. Come on, Dion, don't misquote the brothers.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah,
what instance did they say? How?
I think us using our vote as a bargaining chip is a little bit more difficult than us sitting up there saying, okay, we're going to sit this election out because we feel like these people are not going to benefit us. Because there's going to be some people in the background that be like, okay, the blacks have set it out. You know what I'm saying? It's time for us to step ahead. Even if
so they shouldn't sit it out. They shouldn't sit it out. That's bad. Sitting it out is wrong, right? Right?
That's a hard one to say. I mean,
goddamn, this makes no sense. I feel like, I say
it
sounds like you just want to hear your own voice. No, Dion, you have to be able to. If What do if you tell somebody that and they revere you and they say, all right, Dion, I trust you, man. You're pretty knowledgeable about shit. What should I do? You're gonna tell them, man, ain't shit you can do, and just walk away?
No, I probably wouldn't tell them that though. I'll be like, do what's in your heart. But even okay, if we
so
set it out,
answer.
we make
do
it.
What's in your heart.
Hold on. If we set it out, we make it a statement. If we go vote, we make it a statement. So I mean, which one is it though? You know what I'm saying though?
You making a powerless statement if you sit it out. You're making a power decision if you vote. It's a difference between the two.
I just feel us as a collective shouldn't be trying to gravitate together and looking at it like if we're not benefiting, I guess personally, because I guess that's how people look at it, or if we're not benefiting as a group of people, that we shouldn't hold our vote from a candidate because we feel like this candidate is not doing what we feel like they should do.
So we should vote for somebody. So we should vote for somebody that ain't doing shit for us.
Wait, hold on. Let me finish.
God
because
damn, we've been waiting on you to finish for an hour, and you still ain't gave us no answer.
Wait, hold on. Let me finish, man. Because it's not about little individual things. It's about things as a collective that could be done for a group of people. You feel what I'm saying, though?
No, I don't.
Okay. Say, for instance, a lot of people be like, well, they're not going to give us reparations. That was one of the reasons why people feel they shouldn't vote. Or we feel like me and my guy was talking the other day, what the immigrants are getting more than what we getting. So I'm not going to vote for them, the Democrats, because they gave the immigrants more than us. We had selfish little reasons for us not to go vote instead of fuck all that. You know what I mean? Like, I think you misconstruing what I'm saying, though. You know what I'm saying?
It's me. It's me. This is my fault. This is me misconstruing your words.
Maybe I'm not wording it right to you then. I feel like this is how I feel. We look at little small individual things. We're like, well, they're not doing anything for us, and I'm not going to vote for them. Instead of us looking at a more broader perspective of things and be like, well, okay, they might not be doing this what I want, and this, even though it might not benefit me, but it might help the next person. And maybe the next time they come around, maybe what I'm looking for could benefit me. You feel not? That's what I'm really trying to say.
That's exactly what we did, though, by voting for Kamala, because most of us, first of all, that you from the perspective you speaking, you sound like these idiots who say you own the Democratic plantation. We voted, we compromised because we knew Kamala wasn't the perfect candidate. I was no fan of her. I wasn't a fan of Biden. I am just as critical about the Democrats as I am about the Republicans, but in light of who the opposition was, right? So it's just like this. I hate the Chicago Bears. I don't give a fuck what team the Chicago Bears is playing. I want them to lose unless they play the Minnesota Vikings. Because I hate the Minnesota Vikings more than I hate the Bears. So it's going to become how I feel. But if I don't watch the game, then I shouldn't have an opinion on it. You don't even know what happened. You didn't even watch it. So my point once again is you keep going over and over the same thing, but you're not telling us what we should do. You keep saying, on one hand, well, we should go with our heart, but don't sit out, but sit it out. Like, what should we do? What are you going to tell voters when they go into the booth? You're going to tell them y'all go home. It don't matter. Black people, y'all votes don't matter because our little swing state votes can't change an election. I think Governor Tony Evers would argue differently with you on that because that's how he stole it from Skippy Walker, Milwaukee County. And the black people in Milwaukee voted for Tony Evers to help him get over the hump so he can get Skippy Walker out of Madison. So I'm trying to figure out what should we do? We understand what the issue is. We understand how you feel, but what is the solution? Then you said, well, I don't really know. So that's your solution, correct?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. That explains a lot. When you ended by saying, I don't really know, then it's like, okay, what else can I charge you on? He said he don't know. I don't have no more argument with you then. I'm gonna assume you said everything you said because you really don't know. We shouldn't use our power, our vote as a bargaining chip. Why should I listen to you? You don't know.
But I did say what I was saying. I said we shouldn't use it for selfish little individual reasons instead of us looking at the broader perspective of things. That's basically what I was saying.
What's selfish? So I want the price of haircuts to go down, so I ain't gonna vote for That's not even an issue. We talking about a political platform.
But no, I'm not. Wait, we're not talking. I'm not talking about the presidential election. I'm just talking about any election.
Mayoral.
Any
Let's
election.
look at aldermanic. Yeah. Okay, so
yeah, and that could be something that a motherfucker mad at. You see, motherfuckers felt like eggs was too high, and they got out there and voted. Some people didn't give a fuck about the price of eggs.
Well, if
and
they was
gonna
vote, what they should have looked at is why the eggs are that price and knew about bird flu. So when you hear somebody blaming the other side, unless you eating imported eggs that have a tariff, the cause of the increase in egg prices was bird flu. That's what happened. So there was a shortage where there was normally a surplus. So if you're going to vote, I would hope your ass took, not you personally, but anybody, went and did the research. You don't just go in there and say, oh, let me close my eyes and check off some boxes. You're supposed to know when you look at that ballot, oh, this person, oh, no, hell no. We just seen this with the Supreme Court judge thing about the whole thing about this 1849 abortion ban in Wisconsin. And who tried to call, who was that, Orlando, who tried to call in and say, well, it ain't that he necessarily support abortion. And then when we looked up how his perspective on abortion, he was for abortion. He was pro banning abortion. I'm sorry, he was for banning abortion. So I don't know. I think the argument in this conversation becomes very circular when you can get out of it at any time by saying, I really don't know. That's like hitting a parachute, jumping out the plane. I don't know. Fuck y'all. And just the pilot jumping out the cockpit. So I think we just got to move on because we ain't gonna never get past this one. Vince, I want to talk to you about the hotspot because at one point we talked about the hotspot so much that people got tired of it. Like I would get messages before the show, like, please tell me y'all ain't still talking about the hotspot.
Well, I mean, drive by there, Kevin. It's not the hotspot anymore.
Okay.
So evidently back in August, I guess they've been doing a long-term investigation that they've been using. This word on the street is that they've allowed people to use Quest cards to buy anything that was in the store, including if there was some marijuana in there or whatever. So the feds shut them down. I'm in the process of trying to get the records request. MPD won't give me the information, nor have they told me where I can go get the information as to the exact reason why they were shut down. Needless to say, the area it's like being in Brookfield right now. In that area, there's no loitering, there's no shootings, there's no drug dealings or anything that's going on over there. What I will say though is that our illustrious alderperson Andrea Pratt tried to pull an okie doke on us to get a license over there. She had some female from Brookfield who claimed that she was part owner of the store, trying to get their liquor license and parading this lady around the community as if she was the owner. I went down and did a records request to let the lady own 0% of the store. Had I not had that information, presented it in front of the common council, they would have a liquor license right now. So things have changed exponentially. And I think what that shows me collectively in our community, if we get some of these individuals, Middle Easterners, out of our stores and out of our community and get this liquor out of here, everything goes down. Everything goes down. And I'm gonna step away for a minute, but I'm gonna show you something and to make my point.
Okay, that works. We got a little time left. Time flies when you popping shit. It's 9:25, so we're almost done. If you want to call in, please give us a call. Welcome to Your Opinion. Y'all gotta understand. Sometimes we go at it on the show verbally, but it's all love. And nobody disrespects anybody. So if you want to call in, it's 262-202-5131. Please share the show. Please share the show. It's Outlaw Radio trigger words, and I wanted to leave that even open as an invitation to people. If anybody out there wants to put in the chat room or call in and talk about what triggers them in terms of verbal assaults. And everybody has something different, right? Like, it's always something, the coolest, calmest person. And you never know where that switch is, Kamar. And that's why you shouldn't be out here fucking with people all the time. You muted, Kamar.
You don't know, you know what I mean? There's levels to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of stuff that used to bother me that don't bother me now. You know what I mean? And so I have to catch myself be different type of problems or different issues that may upset me, you know what I mean? And sometimes old ones, you know what I mean? There's still some old traumas too that's still in there that ain't all the way resolved, you know what I mean? That's why I say a lot of these trigger words is they still triggers to a lot of people, you know what I mean? So it's stuff that we have to start working on, you know what I mean? Ain't none of these changes overnight for you. Forget about that. You know what I mean? But you just got to start working on the shit. Be mindful of it. Remember to remember.
And I'd like to put this out here because a lot of us want to assume that we all good. Oh no, I'm above that. I don't got no trigger words. What this nigga talking about? KF tripping tonight. Trigger words. Yeah. Until somebody pull one from deep. And like I said, we have that visceral reaction where we're like, what this I know this motherfucker. Like, I done seen people playing it cool until somebody say a certain thing. Everybody see now they say now I gotta fuck you up.
But to say you ain't got no triggers, that mean to say you ain't got no trauma, ain't no problems, you ain't got no issue.
Right. Never been through nothing.
But that's what triggers are.
White people don't like to be called
triggers set your trauma off.
Right. And you're right, Dion. I've never understood why that is so offensive to them. White people, you can't say cunt. You fucking cunt. They're like, oh my God, did he call me a cunt? And like I don't think white people are as active as we are with your mama. But you call them a cunt.
They've been downgraded they women so much. You know what I mean? A long time. So to call one of them a cunt, that's about the lowest thing you could call them.
Right. And they react to it.
They don't think much of they women already.
Kumar, they call it the C word. He said the C word. You'd be like, what? What'd he say? He said cunt. Like, what? That's a bad word. Black people be like, that's a bad word. Tiarsa said El Salvador is refusing to send that guy back because they already had slaughtered him, or they're torturing him, and it's close to slaughtering him, point blank, period. I listen, once again, I think it's that the fact that we got a president who can just do all of these things is, first of all, the greatest example of white privilege that we've seen. It's the personification of white privilege. This whole thing reeks of white privilege. But once again, this is why you benefit from listening to Outlaw Radio. You have to understand that Trump is a white nationalist. And he has white nationalists around him. So it's no surprise that there's really I said white nationalists. It's white nationalist. I am a black nationalist. I'm not racist, though. So a lot of white nationalists wouldn't consider themselves racist either. They'll say, I'm not racist. What are you talking about, buddy? I am a white guy. It's one way. You're a white nationalist. I think we just need to address it for what it is. Vince, you said you had something you wanted to show us, so I'm gonna give you the chance to do that.
So August of last year, when they got raided, since then, this is the I don't know if you can see the thickness of this, police reports or calls that was at the hotspot in August. Before then, this is how thick it was.
Wow.
So police calls have gone down that much in that area since that liquor license is gone. And at our community meeting, our block watch meeting, which we have the police officers around, the crime has gone down, shootings have gone down, everything that you can think of has decreased in that area right now.
Okay.
Based upon that.
Okay.
So when we look at our community and our villages holistically and what we've got in them and what they're doing is causing grave damage and harm to our community, if we get rid of some of this stuff, we can start to get back to the basics of who we are and become outraged when something like what happened to this 5-year-old happened at this school, that we can all come together collectively and say something and hold people accountable. The mayor's not being held accountable. The county executive's not being held accountable. The new superintendent's not being held accountable. But here's a lady whose child who could imagine if there was something in that pipe that made that kid die. Now it's on national news. And I think it's just as bad that nothing happened to this kid, but there is no outrage about what happened to this kid and their mother and the rest of their family. They might not even be in school right now because they don't have a place to go.
And how much of this is attributed to the fact that, once again, we have a bunch of conversations about the problems and very few about the solutions?
Yeah.
I think we're all pretty well versed at talking about the bad stuff. Like we all can quote, like, and I love anybody who I'm talking to that's black, especially if they just got access to the wisdom and the knowledge, and they start just letting off. Don't you know we number one in all the worst negative statistics and categories in this country? And they start naming it off, and I'm listening, and most of the time I'm like, damn, this shit is not new. This shit been out here for years and years. But then when they get done, I say, so what do you think we should do?
Yeah. So let me say this, Kevin. Well, first of all, I didn't think this person, Brenda, whatever her name is, was the right person for the job anyway. She walked away from us. I thought the Caucasian dude would have been a better choice, simply because what he talked about is going to central office and cleaning house. And that's exactly what needs to be done. When you got 1,000 cars at the central office and you've got a ton of people that are making six figures there, and they can't stop a child from vaping in a school, and they can't change the dynamics of this system, there needs to be a changeover. And she's not doing it. She's come in there and she's hunky-dory with everybody. That's the problem. You got 12 teachers that came to my house. They're afraid to go to the school board because they're afraid of losing their job. So the administration at the school and the school board are sleeping together, and they're not taking care of the teachers who should be teaching, and they can't teach because their lives are in danger, and nobody's doing anything about it, and nobody's saying anything about it. Who's going to come out and say, hey, we need to do an investigation at central office? What have they done? What have they not done? Why are these teachers afraid to teach? Why are they quitting? What's going on in these schools? Nobody's jumping up and saying, but they get ready to go on a retreat right now. And something very pivotal happened. I was at a meeting, at the school board meeting, and the new person, they had the meeting and said, here's all of the problems that we're having at MPS. There was a teacher, a retired teacher, said, hey, the list that you gave us that we're working on in 1986, we had the same problems. Nothing's changed. Is that not insanity? You're putting the same problems in 1986 that we're having in 2025. Nothing's changed. What are we going to do to make a difference? And nobody has any answers for that other than the same shit that they proposed a ton of years ago. So we need to get the board needs to go, the superintendent needs to go, and whoever else is not making this situation better for our students.
I just like to see some innovation.
There is none.
I like to see a leader come along that is truly innovative. I like to see a mayor come along with a plan where you say, hey man, that's a little outside the box and not necessarily what they consider conventional, but damn, it's a good idea.
Exactly.
If it can be done, let's do that.
Yeah.
That's the way the game changes. There has to be a game changer.
Yeah.
But it's much more of a safe space to be a go along to get along person than it is to come in. Because if you go down there right now, you might have piss and vinegar as I'm gonna be an alderman, I'm gonna go down here and make a difference. Well, you won't, because you're gonna go down there and get placed on a committee, and depending on who you friends with, you might be on a bullshit committee, or you might be on one that makes pivotal decisions. Yeah. And you start raising hell when you do propose something. You got a group of them who will say, you ain't gonna never get shit passed because we don't like you.
Yeah. And I think we have to have people in those offices that has some gonads to say, hey, I don't care if you don't like me. I'm going to go out here and tell the people what's going on. Kevin, I would say, how many alderpersons, mayors, or anybody has been in office on our behalf that's gone in there, changed some of those bullshit statutes, policies, or whatever? They go in there, sit down on what's ever out there, and they know before us, all of those laws, those statutes and everything came from people that didn't give a shit about us. So why don't you go in there and change all of this shit instead of sitting on your ass doing nothing?
Well, it's the same as year after year. I'm hearing the leaders complain that the pension. Change the shit. Change it.
Make them fund their own pension.
Come on,
we do it.
Well, it's illegal. We're talking about, well, Kevin, that will take you. Listen, we'll start it off. It has to start. Listen, I understand that there may be some laws that are written and put in, but there's no law or regulation in this country that cannot be changed.
And Trump has proven it.
Exactly. So don't tell me you can't stop this. The fact of the matter is your constituents who contribute to your coffers and keep you in position are supporters of this, or they're beneficiaries of it. So you're not going to speak against it. You're not going to think outside the box. You're going to play government leader by numbers, leadership by numbers. Just add water. And the people would still be left, because most of the socioeconomic conditions in the city of Milwaukee been around since I've been here. And I'm not the oldest person, but hell, I'm old enough. 90s, we had some issues in the 90s. Some of them issues still here. Some of them worse. Early 2000s. I mean, when I was teaching for MPS, No Child Left Behind was the most egregious shit I ever seen in my life.
Absolutely.
Which is one of the things that helped me get the fuck up out of there. I can't do this to my own people. I can't do this. I'm as a special education teacher forced to pass 8th graders who were reading on a pre-primer level to high school. And they say, you better not flunk them because you're going to have paperwork after paperwork. But it was the result of a lawsuit that MPS had lost, a discrimination lawsuit on how they were treating special education children. And so they came up, we're going to do IEPs. I've sat with a staff of people, and I've been on the IEP board before. It's exhausting mentally. You sit there and everybody has to, this document is this. Let me go see his IEP. I'm supposed to teach 30 kids when I got to take a break and go look at your IEP to see what the expectations are. And what they'll say is, because of this individual's issues, he or she is only expected to complete 65% of the threshold of a normal student. So that means you only got to do 65% of the work that a normal student would do, and I still got to pass you. That is grading on a curve. That set us up, because then you get a whole generation of young black kids who were in high school who really didn't have the literary skills, and this contributes to our low literacy rate. And once they get out of high school, they have no real marketable skills. I can't really read that good. So what am I going to do? You know what I'm saying?
What's sad, a friend of mine went to a conference, and she's in human resources in Madison. And one of the presenters says, even in Milwaukee, some of our brightest students, you can give them a simple problem and they can't sort it out. They can't critically think. Even though they're the brightest of the brightest in our community, they don't have the ability to think outside of the box. We can give you a problem, but you can only solve it one way. You can't have any other ideas about it because you can't think critically.
Well, once again, so when you go to school, your initial experience when you go to public school is, in kindergarten, they say, we're going to teach you how to read. And from kindergarten to 3rd grade, you're learning how to read. From 3rd grade until you're done, you're reading to learn. So when we talk about critical thinking, we talk about problem solving. That's why they used to give us those word problems. Mm-hmm. Joey has 5 apples. Tim wants 2. How many apples does he have left? Right? But you have to be able to read to do that problem, because it ain't just 2 minus 5. It's an extension of comprehension and understanding. And when our kids aren't served that, now don't get me wrong, a lot of it's parents' fault too. Because shame on you if you sit up there with your child and you don't check to see if he or she can read well before they get to the 5th grade. How you just not showing up?
Let's look at daycare centers and all these other community service organizations that are supposed to be benefiting us, that are getting tons of money, and nothing's changing in our community. I wouldn't send my kid to a daycare.
Yeah, daycare wasn't a thing when I was growing up. So our generation, that might be a benefit for us. Our generation daycare wasn't that big a thing. Your auntie probably babysitted everybody's kid in the neighborhood. You stayed over there till your mama got off work. But it wasn't like daycare, right? Like it wasn't but it's also WeCare. Well, once again, I can't take the responsibility of a parent from them. And your responsibility when you have a child is to equip that child with everything he or she needs to grow and prosper. And the ability to read, like you can look at your son and say, something ain't right with this little dude. What's up with little dog in the corner chewing on a shoe? You got to admit right there, I think something wrong with my baby, man. We be holding ain't nothing wrong with him. He just likes shoes. You know what I mean? Like I had parents come in my classroom and tell me, hey, yeah, you Mr. Barnes? Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. Whoa, hold on. You ain't going to be telling Mr. Barnes nothing. You want to have a conversation about your child? Have a seat. I don't get checked in here. I'm not going to allow you to talk, especially with me knowing how your child behaves when you're not around. Do you want to have a conversation or not? Because if not, then you can leave. That's just simple and plain. Now, if you say, you know what, he do that at home too. Oh, so there may be an issue here. As opposed to, you don't tell him and you got his phone. And like parents used to be way sideways, man. Coming into school, smell like liquor, like weed. You know, she ain't got no bra on, got a bonnet on and some house shoes. And, I mean, it used to just be like, ugh, man. Why am I even talking? And then a lot of times I used to be looking like, who had a baby by you? I understand why this little dude acting up, man. God damn. Why would somebody impregnate you? I'm sorry, y'all. My bad. Just when I be good, Vince, I fuck it up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's Outlaw Radio. I was trying.
Yeah, you weren't trying very hard, Cam.
I'm telling you, I was making a conscious effort, man. I don't want to trigger nobody.
You seem to like it in that space.
I don't know, man. It just happens, man. It's like a nervous tick or something. I don't know what they say when you just yell out.
It's a trigger, bro. You got trigger.
I don't know, man. What do they call? I got Tourette's. I don't know. Yeah. Shout out to people with Tourette's. Tiarsa said Beverly Hamilton should have ran. I bet she would have gotten it together. I don't know that they would have. Well, the people might, but MPS is so pissed at Beverly Hamilton right now. I bet you they'd be like, hell no. We taking this shit to court because Miss Beverly be on their heels. I'm talking. Miss Beverly protests by herself. She don't care if nobody else show up. She got her assigned walking back and forth. She do not play, man. She don't play with that shit. Earl Henny said walk to work jobs. Where did they go? Yeah, where did they go unless you live down the street from Walmart?
Well, I'll tell you where they went in my neighborhood. DRS went to Menominee Falls, took over 500 livable wage paying jobs. The minimum pay there was $18 an hour. Mm-hmm. And nobody in this city, the mayor, the common council can't go somewhere and bring businesses back in this community that pay livable wages.
Eden did too, and then they got busted because they went somewhere.
They went to Menominee Falls too.
Well, they said they got a grant because they said we going to somewhere where it's poverty, and it ain't gonna find out. No, y'all went to the suburbs. Y'all was lying. It was like, oh, our bad.
Yeah.
Our bad.
They gave DRS a ton of money too.
Oh my God.
They gone. It's like and the Astronomics last year they moved to Oak Creek. So we got all of this leadership in this city. Where are the jobs at? Where are you gonna bring some employment in this city? Everything's gone. And the only thing that you could do is figure out how to put some fucking bump ups out here.
Shout out to Rashida Rogers. How you doing, my sister? Thank you for tuning into the show. Please share. And if you want to participate, which you are, welcome aboard. She says some of the sharpest young people in the workforce lack critical thinking skills. They can't make sense of simple concepts presented to them. That's an issue. And that's why even if, the problem is, even if we built a huge factory here, right? Even if we were to say, hey, Amazon said, you know what, Central City, we're going to take a big vacant piece of this industrial property and build a processing center. Who you think going to get the jobs? It won't be us. It won't be us because a lot of our young people that desire to be coming in other than entry level are not going to qualify for the jobs because a lot of them don't have the technical skills. You see what I'm saying? So they'll say, okay, well, what's the next best thing? The surrounding counties. They'll come out of the wild counties in droves and be driving down here. And then what you'll notice is all of a sudden the area in Central City where Amazon is at, that they need to protect these employees, starts to look much better. It starts to get gentrified.
It's gentrified all over right now.
Well, it ain't completely there.
Live all over.
You said what? You see who?
The Mexicans, they live all over.
No, they run it.
They took over everywhere in the city of Milwaukee down there.
Not more than the Hmong. The Hmong got it popping on the west side. I don't care what nobody said. They got their own school. When you fucked around and looked up, they got their own school, and right across the street from it is their own grocery store, and then they got a little bar over here. The Club Onyx or whatever it is, not Onyx, but what is it? Ox something.
Niggas go there though, don't they?
No. Right there on Hampton, across the street from the liquor store.
Liquor store. I know.
No. I went in there to get some pho. I was the only black person in there because I like pho. I'm sorry, me and my wife like.
You was eating pho?
Me and my wife and I love pho. It's delicious. I don't know if y'all.
You know what time it is? Man, it's a little bit past my bedtime, man. I be hating I can't stay up and kick it with y'all no more, man. Y'all used to be on the highway with me when I used to be riding down the highway from Oshkosh. Now I gotta go to bed and get up and go to this funky ass job in the morning, man. But we ain't gotta work Friday. It was Good Friday, so I guess that's something good with working with the city of Milwaukee, though. But yeah, man, I'm not happy as I used to be, though, Kev. I ain't gonna lie.
You'll
So
be all right.
I'm gonna let you guys go. Vince
Hey
is
man, they're not
always
gonna take you to
man.
El Salvador.
hey, if they come get me, nigga, I know your names. I'm gonna snitch on you. We gonna be handcuffed together, goddamn it.
I ain't going nowhere. You're gonna be there by yourself.
What I was about to say, but I'm gone, man. You know y'all my niggas, man. You know y'all stay up, man. You know, always, man. You know, I'm gonna listen to y'all, man. Y'all gonna fall asleep, no homo. You feel what I'm saying? I'll catch y'all next Monday, kid. Y'all be safe out here, man. Drive safe, keep your head on a swivel. And man, y'all better be careful what y'all say about the Trump administration. You know, Orlando, he ain't gonna tell on us. He ready to go tell.
I ain't scared.
I think he go by another name and be calling this other show. I'm gonna see if I can find it and send it to you because the nigga that be calling sounds just like him though. But I'm gone, outlaw for life, baby. Good night, y'all.
All right. I ain't scared. No, I was talking about pho. I don't know if he even know. I don't know if a lot of people even know what it is. It's something that me and my wife and I enjoy eating. It's basically Vietnamese soup. You know, somebody would say, "Ugh, I don't like pho," but then they eat ramen noodles. Fuck out of here. That shows me that you don't know what it is, right? Like, so yeah, it's veg. Look, there's vegetarian pho, there's seafood pho, there's all kinds of different variations of it. You know, you got to have a palate. You have to develop a palate that's bigger than just Popeyes, J&J's, Burger King, McDonald's. Like, you know, you should know different foods. Like, you should, come on now. We got to get some culture about ourselves. People say, ugh, what is that? But yeah, no. I was saying, I was using that to say I've been in that. I go to pho. There's two pho places in Brookfield right next door to each other. Pho 124 and Pho for You. Right? No shit. So it's popping. When I go to Brookfield and I go in there, I see some brothers and sisters out there getting them some, you know. So, you know, whatever. As much as black people eat Chinese food, I don't want to hear shit because we still don't even know what some of that shit is. Get some sweet and sour chicken. You ain't never seen no chicken cooked like that. Why do the chicken? What is this? I don't know what we've been eating for a long time, man. So. But yeah, man. What else you got going on, Vince? Because it's 9:40, so we gonna.
Well, you know, other thing I got going on is I got a couple of kids that I helped them get through the process of getting out of the home that they were in. They were 6 years old when they were adopted, and their adopted mother has kicked them out of the house. And CPS has, you know, I've known these kids for a period of time, and CPS had made them disappear on me. And Kevin, I'm under the impression is that we as a people have to figure out how to start breaking away from these systems that have us in just lost in those systems, and our kids are disappearing. And so I worked in CPS for 8 years. I understand that side of it, but now I understand this side of it, why a lot of our kids get lost in the system and they never find their way back. And I guarantee you, one of these two boys, and I know which one it's going to be, it's going to end up dead or it's going to kill somebody because of what's happened. Now in that situation, now they've been in two separate group homes. They're on ADHD medication, all this other bullshit. I guarantee you, if these people don't allow myself and some of the other people in the community that work with these boys to continue down that path, it's going to be a problem, because I've been kind of called the enemy in that system. And I've talked to the lawyers, and the lawyers are siding with other people. And I'm saying, I want to go talk to the judge, because this is some bullshit what you guys are doing to these kids. And we have to figure out a way to start helping these mothers keep these kids and keep them out of this fucked up ass system, because it's one of the problems, one of the many problems that we have in our community is these systems are taking our kids away from the Child Protective Services, Children's Court, and all that other shit that everybody's got that's killing us or having us kill ourselves. It's dangerous. They are very dangerous to our society, and we don't see it.
Okay. Duly noted. Kamar, anything popping this week? What you got going, man?
We at the House of Vitality up at the Sherman Phoenix all week, waiting on y'all.
Okay.
Pull up, family.
Shout out to Miss Beverly. I know she was very vocal about the designation of the Central City Plaza, which we talked about a while ago, getting a historical designation. I guess it passed at the Common Council today to give it this historical designation. If you don't know what this was basically a Black-owned shopping mall that was designed by the state's first Black architect. And I guess at one point it had a bunch of Black businesses in it, and this was in the 70s, but it only lasted 4 years. It was actually pioneered by Felmers O'Chaney, who was the first police captain, Vince, I believe. I know he was one of the first high-ranking Black police officers way back in the day, and then he became a community activist. And I didn't know Beverly Hamilton, she says that her family was instrumental in getting it started. And like I said, where it's at, and at the time being significant, I don't understand how the bag was fumbled. I'm pretty sure there's somebody out there who was around during that time to be able to tell me why. Because they, after 4 years, they actually lost the building. So the Salvation Army has owned the building forever, and they were talking about tearing it down until somebody spoke up on the significance of this being built by, the first Black architect in Wisconsin, who's also famous for designing a bunch of other landmarks around the city, churches and stuff like that. So shout out to those people who was crusading for that. That's needed. They give us our props for what we've done. But I still look at this and say, how this didn't work? How didn't it work? They're saying at one point, you muted Vince. You muted Vince.
Well, when they do what they have to do, it's a historical site. So when they do what they do and put it back to its original or whatever, is it going to last another 4 years before it goes down? What's going to happen to that building? And in my community, we've seen some houses that were labeled historic. They still pieces of shit, and the Common Council approved it.
Well, the Salvation Army still owns the building. So what they agreed to was to basically invest in it being a historical landmark. So it still should, the designation, I believe, provides tax breaks and other benefits. So it's a good thing to me, just because of this historical significance. Like I said, we'll see if in 4 years, but this is supposed to be, they have an architect involved. They're going to have part of the campus, I guess the smallest building, where the cab company, we've all been driving past this building forever and never knew. Those of us who are my age, there used to be the yellow cab building right on 6th Street, right before you get to Hillside. And this big white building, I never knew the history of it, because since I've been here, it wasn't run as a Black, establishment, or, so if in 4 years, the Salvation Army says, hey, we going to sell it. I don't know, Vince. I don't know how that goes. That's a good question. But I was just trying to look at the bright side. I don't know. Thank you for ruining my day, Vince. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
We can always look at the bright side.
I
would love for something to happen that benefits our people for a long period of time.
Well, there'll be a clinic there. There'll be a clinic there, a Salvation Army clinic there. So we know that part will be done up. But they're saying how they're going to dedicate part of it to show the historical significance. So it'll, in essence, be a situation where you can go down there and kind of walk through and read. Well, we don't know what they're going to use the other parts for yet. I don't know that that's established, but we'll see.
Yeah.
See. Mac Moan said, great show, fellas. I'm gonna have to get on an episode. Hey man, you're more than welcome. You are a Milwaukee icon, right? Like you done. I would love to hear your opinion on Milwaukee hip hop, right? Because in Milwaukee right now, hip hop wise is popping. These youngsters getting it popping out here. So, we see the Stoner national recognition, right? And I'm seeing a bunch of momentum. So whenever, just inbox me, man. Inbox me. You definitely welcome to come on. I just want to tell people to be aware, man. Like once again, I pride myself on this show. We don't try to reinvent the wheel on this show. People tell me they learn stuff from the show, and I'm always pleased by that. But my intention is not to really be a teacher or anything like that to you. We have these discussions because I feel they are necessary, and my assumption is people already know this information. Because a lot of this stuff, I'll be like, I've been knew that. When somebody tell me something, I'll be like, I've been knew that. But something like that building we were just talking about, I didn't know it. So if somebody's out there and they caught that tidbit and say, dog, I didn't know that. So you mean the idea of Black economic power was around even way back then? We had a shopping mall, for a building that was conceived, and even the architect was Black, and it was for all Black businesses. They was the Sherman Phoenix before the Sherman Phoenix, Kamar. Nobody knows that. You don't hear about that. Nobody talks about that. So Once again, if you knew better, you do better, man. I just want everybody, man, to just keep their head on the swivel and be aware. Try to gain as much knowledge as you can. We talked about on the other show, overstanding versus understanding. Overstanding is seeing the plant on top of the ground and knowing that it needs carbon dioxide to survive. But understanding is knowing that there's roots under the plant that requires minerals and all kinds of other things. And there's also networking between plants via their roots in which they network and communicate and share resources. Overstanding, understanding. Sometimes you need a little bit of both, right? Especially if you're going to plant a garden so you can produce more. But the biggest thing you could be, the only real thing you could do to make a difference is be the change you want to see. Like, I could talk a lot of shit about what people should do and how we should act, but I got to do that myself if that's the message that I'm pushing, right? So in other words, do not allow your criticism of the community to outweigh your contribution, because then you're going to be a trigger word, and that trigger word is coon. I'll see y'all Monday, man. Peace and love. Shout out to you, Vince. Thanks for coming, man. Always a pleasure.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
All right, now. Peace out, Kamar.